Break ends in 5 seconds.
She once fell off a ski lift. He was called in for questioning. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Is Giannis Antetokounmpo a diva? I don't know. I think he's exhibiting diva-like behavior, though. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. We don't usually start with NBA topics around here, but the Bucks fired their head coach yesterday, Adrian Griffin, and to me, Perloff, this one has the fingerprints of disgruntled superstars all over it.
All right, so we're starting the show by criticizing Giannis. I mean, who else are we going to go after? Is Mother Teresa in the next segment?
He's a likable dude,
Giannis.
I get it.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yeah, I'm not going to say the last name, but come on, how can you have a problem? Giannis is one of the most humble, amazing superstars sports has.
Yeah.
And you're starting off the show by saying he's a diva?
Okay, well, I don't know, again, but I can only go by what the public record would have. And that's a couple things. So if you're just getting up to speed with the story, it happened yesterday afternoon. The Bucks fired their head coach despite the fact that they've got the second best record in the Eastern Conference of 30-13. They were coming off of a win. However, apparently they're upset with the defensive schemes in Milwaukee, which sounds like a troll. I mean, anyone who's talking about defense in the NBA in the year of our Lord 2024, I think sounds like a little empty. Honestly, you are going to criticize and you're going to fire a guy because of the defense when nobody plays defense in this league. That's the big joke about it.
Maybe the defensive scheme is, hey, superstar, you're going to play some defense. They're like, oh, I am.
Yeah.
I don't think so. You're fired, buddy.
Thank you. Yeah,
But I do understand the storyline is they're making Giannis switch up top, and he's nowhere near the basket on defense, so people are just storming the Bucks in the paint.
Okay.
That makes some sense. At least there's something there.
Okay, but that feels like if you know that and other people watching know that, you don't think that an NBA head coach, even a first-year head coach, Adrian Griffin, who spent 9 years in the league and 7 years as an assistant coach, all the assistant coaches on your bench, the superstars themselves, nobody else could think about switching up a defensive scheme. Again, there was a game last night between the Jazz and Pelicans where the final score was 153-124. Firing a head coach and blaming it on defense, to me, is so lame. And this is the second head coach that's been fired with Giannis. Now, Mike Budenholzer, they won a title, and he was subsequently fired.
Yeah.
Other diva behavior, like from Giannis, and again, I don't know the guy personally. I'm just going by what the public record is. So Giannis comes over, gets drafted, the diamond in the rough from Greece. So homesick when he first gets here that he insists that the Milwaukee Bucks find a way to get his family from Greece to Milwaukee.
What a jerk. What a jerk.
And threatens to go back to Greece if they don't do it. Okay, so now we get...
First of all, that could be portrayed as he is the opposite of a diva, that he's a sensitive young kid who knew that he'd be stronger with his family around. God forbid that you have your family come and support you.
Okay, but
this is a good thing, Maggie.
But why is it the Bucks' problem? Like, you put that on the Bucks.
Because they drafted a 19-year-old kid out of Greece. Yeah, he should have said, all right, I'll come next year. I'm not ready to go. He was honest about the fact that he was not ready for the NBA, which I think a lot of people are not honest about.
Let's move on. We know that after he signed his first big deal, which was the 5-year, $220 million one, the Supermax, after he'd already won MVP, that same a couple months later, the same offseason, he threatens to stop playing basketball. Like, something was going on, and listen, we were all going through a lot in the pandemic. Some people had more resources to handle it than others, but mental health is mental health, and he threatened to not play basketball anymore. Okay. Then you have this offseason, disappointing that you would lose to the Miami Heat, who eventually went on to the finals, but you lose to the Miami Heat in a series where Giannis was injured for a lot of the games, and you fire the head coach, and Giannis goes to the New York Times, goes to podcasts, goes to everywhere he can find to tell the Bucks and the world, if you don't make a move for a superstar, thanks for the memories, I'm out of here. Now, I'm not saying he's a diva. I'm saying this is diva-like behavior.
Yeah.
If this was James Harden or Russell Westbrook or someone like that, we would be killing them for doing this. So what do they do?
Because they aren't as good as Giannis, but we did kill LeBron and KD when they did stuff like this.
Oh,
because
I think we did. People hate LeBron for stuff like this, hate NBA superstars who try to throw their weight around in this way.
Really? I mean, I think if Superstar just sits there and does nothing and lets the team crumble around him, like we would kill him for that. Like he's just got to sit there in Milwaukee and be the 3 seed for the next 10 years. I think he had to do something. He's been there. This is his 11th year in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
LeBron was long gone from Cleveland. KD was long gone from OKC. Like
We still rip
the fact that
KD for
Giannis
leaving
is
to
still
go to Golden State. by
the fact that Giannis, well, he was leaving to go somewhere at that point. The fact that Giannis is still in Milwaukee alone speaks to Giannis's loyalty. I can't rip this dude as a diva.
He signed another contract extension. Okay, he does because he threatens that if they don't do something, he's going to leave. So what do? They make a trade for Dame Lillard. Probably overpay for Lillard, but whatever. You're in your window and you want to capitalize on it. Dame Lillard, who has hit so many big shots and who is a great player, but A, has never won anything, and 2, is not a good defensive player, yet plays almost 40 minutes a game. So that means you have to try to hide or make up for a bad defensive player for a lot of the game, for most of it, and then you wonder why your defense is bad, and then you blame that and fire the coach. Like, where's the personal accountability from the players here? If you want to be a better defensive team, that to me is more about a commitment to it. And if you're a superstar who's making hundreds of millions of dollars, do you really need a coach to be up your butt about it? Isn't that the personal, like, hey, my greatness? Like, come on, you think Michael Jordan needed Phil Jackson to say, hey, play defense? Michael Jordan said, move out of my way. I'm taking their best offensive player in crunch time. Move me on him, and took the personal responsibility. I hate to do the Jordan thing, but we're talking about rare air here with Giannis, aren't we?
But no, because let's face it, you look at the NBA today, it is tightly packed at the top. And you know, as a fan, like you see the guys on the sideline or by the bench, the coaches make a huge difference. I mean, honestly, like you see Doc Rivers, who was going to take over, going against
we'll get to that part
going
in a
against
second.
Eric Spoelstra. What's your initial reaction? I don't care who's on the court. I'm going to give Spoelstra an edge in a playoff series. So if Adrian Griffin was everything you said, I understand where you're coming from. But if Adrian Griffin is a bad coach, this is the right move. I mean, regardless, like I'm glad for Bucks fans they did this now instead of letting it just like fester. Might as well rip the Band-Aid because there's only one goal there is to win a title. And what's Giannis doing if he's not trying to win a championship? Just be okay. Why would you credit him for just sitting there and being like, all right, let's fade into good but not great?
That's the other side of it, right? If you think that now was the right time to do it, and you're going to bring in Doc Rivers, someone not exactly associated with winning.
Well, that's not fair. He won a title.
He did win a title in 2008. It's 2024. And I think Doc, he's got ties to Milwaukee. He was a great player. He has been a coach. He's basically coached every person in the NBA now. He's got the ties. I think he is better for a veteran team. But Doc is almost known more now for blowing leads in series than he is for winning them. You didn't bring in the closer here with Doc Rivers. You just brought in somebody who has coached veteran teams before. Yeah,
I mean, also, it's midseason. I'm not sure they had their complete choice of great coaches. Maybe they screwed up in the offseason by not getting Nick Nurse. There's a report that Nick Nurse and Giannis were not on the same page.
Kenny Atkinson was another finalist from Golden State.
He's okay. I think he's a little... Yeah, the former Nets coach, right? So, I don't know. I think that they didn't really have their choice of guys here, and it sounds like Doc was around the team. Honestly, for Giannis, I'm glad he's still in Milwaukee, and to stay in Milwaukee, he's got to really put his foot on the pedal to try and win a championship. There can't be any, nice guy here. I think Giannis's problem probably is too nice of a guy.
Wow.
Through his career, I think of Kobe as the ultimate, on the killer scale of NBA stars. Kobe is the ultimate killer.
Right.
I don't think Giannis is in that category. Michael Jordan is the ultimate killer.
Sure.
LeBron is halfway there. Giannis is even right of LeBron on the killer scale. And LeBron probably could use a little more killer in him, too. I don't want to see Mr. Nice Guy. If you're going to win an NBA championship, you got to be a super jerk.
Okay.
And I kind of like that if I want to win a title.
Okay, well, I don't think Nikola Jokic is a super jerk, but I get your point.
Yeah.
I just think it's what about the personal accountability? And you're right. Maybe Adrian Griffin wasn't the right guy. They had Terry Stotts, who was Dame Lillard's former coach in Portland, and something happened with a dust-up right before their final preseason game, and he left. I mean, left the team. That maybe was the first sign that things might not be going well. But again, I'll ask you, where is the personal accountability from the superstars? Second coach you've got, I can't say you got him fired, but you definitely didn't stand for his job. That's for sure. And I imagine that Giannis had to be involved at least a little bit in their head coaching search. Hell, he's out there again, New York Times podcast, telling them, if you don't get another superstar, I'm going to leave. Did he have no say in who the head coach was going to be?
Definitely did.
Okay, so you signed off on Adrian Griffin
Yeah.
and then immediately started to show him up. This is random, but there was a game where Adrian Griffin is in a timeout and the whole team's around him and Giannis is sitting on the scorer's table basically pouting. Again, I'm not saying he's a diva. I'm saying diva-like behavior that if it was someone else who wasn't as likable as Giannis, I think we would be absolutely shredding today. So,
Yeah, I mean,
poll question.
But that being said, if you're a Bucks fan, and this is they had a dud. They got a lemon as a coach,
Sure.
Which sounds like Adrian Griffin was. This is a good day, right? I mean, maybe you don't like Doc. That's a wholly different thing. But
You just had Doc coaching your team.
yeah, Doc feels like he's not getting out of the second round anymore in the NBA. But honestly,
So what did you do?
but it does sound like Adrian Griffin was even worse because the Bucks are 30-13, but they've had one of the easiest schedules in the NBA. They don't look like a title team right now. So I understand. I'm not against a drastic change. I mean, I'm not sure the Bucks win a title with Giannis again. It doesn't feel like my initial reaction when I heard the storyline. I'm like, oh man, the Bucks are a mess. They're never getting back to there. It feels like the NBA is so parity driven right now. It's such a fine line between good and championship. I don't mind desperate moves. But I totally agree with you. Like, you don't get Dame Lillard and expect your defense to stay at the same level.
You traded away Drew Holiday. Like,
So
he's
that-
one of your
that-
best perimeter defenders. And you're like, man, they're really killing us from three. Why do you think your opponents are able to walk into threes?
But did you have the same reaction I did? Like, they're 30-13 and they're firing this guy. He must be a bad coach.
gonna say.
Like, oh my God.
So apparently, according to The Athletic, and again, we're talking about the Bucks firing their head coach, which, listen, is that like the biggest breaking news? No, maybe not. But the fact that Giannis, I think he's got some diva-like behavior, and this is somebody who we've never associated with something like that. I thought it was interesting. The Athletic is reporting that Doc Rivers apparently has been involved here for a lot longer than we may have thought. So I know everyone very split on this show about the in-season tournament. We're not gonna relitigate the merits of the in-season tournament.
Really?
I'll say, yeah, I know, but let's be on the ready, everyone. Knives away.
Dump buttons out.
But it was the in-season tournament and the loss to the Pacers that first set this thing on the bad course. Apparently, this is where the internal skepticism grew regarding Adrian Griffin's ability to lead. And there was strong signs that change was coming. So the in-season tournament definitely mattered for something. That's when, according to league sources in The Athletic, that the team reached out to Doc Rivers, who's calling games for ESPN now, to become a informal consultant to Griffin at the behest of the Bucks. So Griffin's not asking for Doc Rivers' help. They're foisting Doc Rivers to help Adrian Griffin. And then basically it was almost one way to read it is then Doc kind of understood what the internal dynamics were from the team, at least from Griffin's perspective. And now he's the serious leader to become the head coach.
Yeah.
I mean, an ultimate shiv.
With that kind of help, I don't know if I want Doc Rivers coming in to consult this show. I mean, geez, Doc.
I know. Doc gives me the Maggie and Doc show.
So, well, I was thinking the Perloff and Doc show, actually, but there you go.
Actually, Doc's replacing Bilotti.
Doc is a big fan of mine, by the way. We have a few really awesome interactions. He's the nicest, coolest guy. I'm a big fan of Doc, but I would not have fired him as a coach. I don't think they had their choice. I think they should have gone with like the young, really smart, strategic guy because they need
They just did that with Griffin. They just fired him.
They need like the guy who's proven a little bit more, like a Nick Nurse. So I think they need a little umph. They need a really, really good coach to get them because they're stuck. I just can't. I don't think they have the squad right now because Damian's great, but he's 33. He can't play defense.
Right.
Giannis, they're going to run into they're going to run into some problems in the playoffs. So I don't know. I think they had to take a desperate swing here. I don't think Giannis wins again in Milwaukee, and I do think he's going to leave at some point and try and get one more ring.
Andrew Kaplan, our very own, asking if Doc can run the dump button on the show. I don't know.
a lot will get passed if we let Doc get that.
Okay, 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. I think let's put this as a poll question. Giannis a diva? Yes, no? At Maggie and Pearl. That's where you can go vote. I've been getting in trouble a little bit with some members of the show for some unpopular opinions I've had regarding the animal world. I think we should address it and clear the air. We'll do that next. We also have football to get to. Football. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. I'm starting to keep a list here of incredibly likable people that Maggie has called out in the last 2 weeks.
It's a long list.
A little criticism of our guy Pat Mahomes, who seems like the nicest man in sports.
No, I said the Chiefs aren't likable.
Yeah.
Not Mahomes specifically.
Well, who's the face of the Chiefs? Now you're going after Giannis. I'm trying to think.
I said he's showing diva-like behavior.
Yeah. You're going to say Wemby's too French? I'm trying to think about the popular players that you could criticize. I don't know. It just seems like you could criticize them for some things, but you got to admit, they're awfully likable. And Giannis does have a couple shows about him and his family. He's sort of a Disney character. Diva is not the first word that jumps to mind with me.
Just check the receipts. I mean, check the facts. If this was not someone who was so likable, and they, multiple coaches got fired, including one when you're, 30-13, and the biggest issue is defense in the NBA, where you're scoring 150 points a night, and you're sort of held the organization hostage over the summer.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of diva-like qualities here. You got your brother playing on the team because you need your brother there. Like Thanasis, no disrespect to Thanasis, but he could also just live in Milwaukee with Giannis. He doesn't have to literally take up a roster spot.
I mean, let's be real. The Bucks, they've become the most unlikable team in the NBA.
Oh my God.
The Bucks are the most unlikable team?
Easy.
I don't know if anyone cares enough about the Bucks to make them unlikable.
No, they are the most unlikable, because think about this. You had Mike Budenholzer last year.
Yeah.
He took you to the NBA championship, first one since the 70s when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was playing for you. Okay, you fire him after one really bad playoff series. We all can admit that. It was a week after his brother died. So he dealt with a very serious tragedy. You threw him out with the bathwater, said, we don't care about him, get rid of him. You hire a first-year coach, a guy who has not done this before, expecting that there were going to be no hiccups. You have the second-best record in the NBA, and you move on after 43 games? Come on. And then you got Dame Lillard. It's like, I want to play on super team. I want to play on this team, that team, this team, that team. Giannis says, the equipment cleaners got to be better. Thanasis is on there looking like a fool on there on the sidelines, knowing that he's only got a job because of his brother. These guys suck. Get these guys out of here.
I mean, the other part, too, about Dame is he didn't even want to be there. He wanted to be in Miami. He obviously.
It's all.
This is the second best thing.
Yeah. No, you're right. Giannis, Dame Lillard, these guys. And you have the Clippers in this NBA, and you're saying the Bucks are the most unlikable team. You have a team that actually has James Harden, Russell Westbrook on the same team, and you're saying the Bucks are the most unlikable team?
They just broke off
They're
a guy
the two
who
most
won
likable players in the entire league.
They just broke off a guy who won their first NBA championship in 50 years, and then hired a guy who was in his first job, and they fired him after 43 games because they're not playing defense. Hello, the GM, you got rid of your best defensive player. Maybe that's why you guys
think
aren't playing
NBA fans
defense.
around the league are like, here comes the evil empire. It's the Bucks. I really hate them. I'm going to buy a ticket to hate watch them. Get out of here.
Nobody,
your mind?
Doc Rivers is this lovable character. Everybody loves rooting for that guy. Come on.
This is going to be something. Maggie's Karaoke Pants in the chat says, smear the deer. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. We will get to a lot of football. Meanwhile, Baseball Hall of Fame. Oh, you wore the Fear the Deer shirt?
Oh, yeah. I love the Bucks.
You took this long to unveil that?
Well, I mean, honestly, I'm like every neutral NBA fan. I love the Bucks. How can you not like everything about them? So they fired Adrian Griffin. You really think that's going to move the needle for anybody?
But the question is, why did they hire him in the first place?
Who cares?
For
They
this
screwed
kind
up.
of team?
Yeah, but I honestly, that is such a minor move.
How can you say they screwed up? They had the second best record in the NBA. No, I'm standing on this Adrian Griffin thing. They had the second best record in the NBA.
Why are you saying that for Adrian Griffin? What do you know about Adrian Griffin as a coach? Nothing. He coached 49
I know
games.
Doc Rivers is one of the biggest chokers that we have in the NBA when it comes to head coach. You want to talk about Doc Rivers, the guy they have? Let's talk about him.
Yeah.
He's blown how many 3-1 leads? How many 3-2 leads? How many 2-0 leads?
I think they're bringing in Doc to manage egos, which is one
He's done
thing.
terribly.
Well, I mean, I think that's one person I think that's one coach who has had experience with these like super teams with a lot of egos. Didn't work out in Philadelphia, obviously, the James Harden stuff, but maybe nobody gets through to Harden, you know?
Didn't work out with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid.
I know,
Didn't
but
work
Ben
out with
Simmons-
Superstars, not eighth guys on a roster skill-wise.
Didn't work out with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Didn't work out with Blake Griffin and Chris Paul.
Well,
He has great experience dealing with superstars in terms of getting them to blow up and fail in the playoffs. That's his experience.
yeah, I would say, I guess when I'm saying managing egos, you didn't hear a lot of until Philadelphia, where Ben Simmons might be a lost cause. You know, James Harden, that's a whole other level. But he got guys to play together. They didn't win, so you could say, all right, then it didn't work. It worked in Boston, of course, that one year with the ultimately motivated Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce, Ray Allen. But I think that he can make. I think that the veteran players respect him.
He got a little thing going with Harden and Embiid that Brett Brown couldn't do in Philly. Like he was brought in to sort of be a guy with a little bit of clout who could tell superstars things. You're right. It might not work, but at least that's what the thing is.
I don't think they're winning a title. Meanwhile, we have baseball to get to. Andrew Bogusch is here. Hall of Fame last night. You get 3 inductees. So congratulations to Adrian Beltre, to Todd Helton, and to Joe Mauer, who all get in on this year's ballot. Billy Wagner falls 4 votes short. I hate this voting process to its core. What makes sense about this? Either you are or you aren't a Hall of Famer, right? And I know we could talk about this till the cows come home, but a guy falls 4 votes short. I think Todd Helton was 11 votes over.
5.
And he was 11 short last year, pardon me. So it's like this slow crawl where a guy eventually is going to get in. Leave it to baseball to take like any kind of mystery totally out of this thing. It becomes completely anticlimactic.
And the math on Wagner is crazy because I saw a tweet this morning that 2 people who voted for him last year didn't vote for him this year for some reason. And then there were like 3 or 4 ballots that just had like Manny Ramirez and A-Rod on it only.
People use it as like a personal protest or something like that.
And he misses by 5 votes.
Like there used to be voters. I think they've gotten rid of a lot of these guys because they made it a rule that if you haven't covered baseball in 10 years, you don't get a vote anymore.
Yes.
Okay. So that kind of lopped off like over 100 voters. There used to be people who just would never put anyone first ballot.
Right.
So Mariano Rivera doesn't get my vote because I have this personal. I have a personal philosophy.
Wasn't it because Babe Ruth didn't get all the votes in his first ballot? Isn't there some history there? Was it Babe or Lou Gehrig or somebody didn't get all the votes on the first ballot, so they said nobody can?
I thought, didn't Babe Ruth get the same amount of votes as Joe Mauer? Or
Something
was it Todd
I
Helton?
don't know.
It was something crazy. Anyway.
But yeah, people have done stupid things, made points with their ballot, or just been dummies. Like, this is a real thing. Like, if you submit a ballot that doesn't make sense, you should have to defend it or lose your right to vote. Like, it shouldn't just be, okay, at first it was a free-for-all. Then, as you said, they scaled it back a little bit. But still, like, you should do this correctly. Like, there's room to disagree on certain players, but if you're going to do something stupid with your ballot, then they should have the ability to take it away from you so you don't mess up the process.
But let me ask you guys a question.
It was Adrian Beltre, got 95.1% of the vote. That's the same as Babe Ruth.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question, though. I understand your criticism of the process, but is the final product, is the guys getting in, it seems like no one's super complaining about the actual end result. Like,
I think they do.
I'm not hearing a lot of complaints. Even Scott Rowland, who I didn't understand how that guy made the Hall of Fame, I didn't see widespread criticism from baseball media of that at all. I feel like once guys get in, most of baseball media is like, okay, he deserved it.
I think the Harold Baines, but that was the Veterans Committee. I think maybe the Tim Raines. I mean, I think there's been guys.
Tim Raines,
Well,
that guy was awesome. So was Harold Baines, but
Harold Baines is he Hall of Very Good?
I hear you. But generally, though, these guys, nobody's criticizing these guys that got in. Despite the process, it is slow and anticlimactic, but it does seem like they get the guys that everybody wants.
I think the problem is they're more accepting of the Harold Baines of the world. Because we went at least 1 year where we voted nobody in.
Yeah.
Because we had this steroid era kind of just void where we were like, well, we're not voting anybody in. I think now people are just happy to get anybody in the Hall of Fame, and that's why this Hall of Fame is a sham. Gary Sheffield not being in the Hall of Fame is an absolute sham. And
now he's not, but he'll get in through some kind of Veterans Committee because this was the final year for him on the ballot and he fell short. I mean, listen, there's a couple things about the steroid stuff that feels like it's hypocritical, at least to baseball fans in the naked eye. And obviously, one's got to be Pudge Rodriguez, right? I know Jose Canseco doesn't have a lot of credibility, but a lot of stuff that he wrote in the book ended up being real, and Jose Canseco called out Pudge Rodriguez. So, this whole thing is totally non-scientific.
Yeah, you also, the odd part is you're also asking people to be mean. Like, it's not Harold Baines' fault that he made the Hall of Fame.
Sure.
So no one's going to come out and destroy Harold Baines. But people didn't think Harold Baines should be in the Hall of Fame. Like, there were conversations about that. No one ripped him. No one freaked out about it. Now, Mad Dog freaked out about Scott Rowland, but like no one's going to go nuts on Harold Baines. But people had a real conversation that Harold Baines should not be in the Hall of Fame. There were definitely columns of this makes the Hall of Fame worse because Harold Baines is in it.
But I will say this, though. I think you cannot overestimate, and I think that how much harder it was to hit home runs in 1985 than it was in 2000. Like the fact that Brady Anderson's hitting 50 home runs, Harold Baines' numbers, that's why Don Mattingly and Keith Hernandez not being in is such a joke. Is everyone blind to the fact that you couldn't hit 50 home runs in 1985 because there were no steroids and this is not the way the game was played?
No,
I think they underestimate these 80s guys tremendously, and they put these lesser players from the modern era in over them.
Well, but I have a flip side for you on that, which is in the 80s, not everyone was throwing 100. Everyone's throwing so much gas right now.
What's it easier to hit a home run off a 100-mile-an-hour fastball than a crafty curveball guy? And that helps, like, the speed of the pitching is definitely helping more home runs because the ball comes off the bat
if you can
faster.
hit it, though.
Yeah, I think the pitchers now, like, I'm not going to say they're better. They're just way more athletic, aren't they?
But all these home run hitters love fastball pitchers. I mean, that's the thing,
How
obviously.
about this?
But
Can we do this?
Yeah.
Can we have the vote on whether you're a Hall of Famer the day you retire?
No, that's too soon.
But why?
Because there's still like compare, like you need to be able to process a guy's career. Most guys are not prepared. Some guys, obviously, we know they're Hall of Famers, but there are guys who need thought, need conversation, need to see that, in the last 5 years, no one's done what he just did.
Okay, but then eye test cannot be used then. Because if your eye test shouldn't change from when you actually watch the person with your eyes than 5 years later.
Yeah, but I still think that in the moment you can go too far in either direction while you're watching a guy live. You need time to give. A lot of guys need space to let their career breathe.
Oh, interesting.
No doubters
I feel the totally opposite way. I feel like don't give that space where then we have to start looking at advanced analytics and scraping the bottom of the barrel and this guy versus this guy. If it's you know it when you see it, we should know it the day you retire.
But part of the argument for Billy Wagner is he the best lefty reliever of all time? And while that was true the day he retired, it's still true now, like 14 years later, which is like no one has come and race past what he did, which validates more his career.
Talking about a guy who let up some big, long home runs, man.
Yeah.
Once some righty sluggers got a hold with Billy's stuff came down a little bit, man, people would hit bombs off that dude.
And Perloff has a good point about the 80s guys being underrated. I will then also add that I think that home run hitters in the 90s and early 2000s are also being underrated. I think that is, again, Gary Sheffield playing those other steroid era guys we have suspicions about. Like, to me, you have a better chance of making the Hall of Fame having not been a 40, 50 home run hitter guy. Like Adrian Beltre getting it with 95% for a guy who only hit 40 home runs once in his career, was not really a home run hitter until later in his career, though for some reason we have no suspicions with him. Like, it's pathetic. Like I don't like. I think it's tough for me to watch the game, and I loved baseball growing up, and know that I watched the best players, Gary Sheffield, Manny Ramirez, whatever. Right. I watched these guys play, and they were by far the best players. And I got to sit there and say, well, in my head, with the Hall of Fame, actually, Adrian Beltre was better than them.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
I know, and nobody's applying the steroid stuff evenly, but their home run hitters from the 80s and 90s still are getting in. Frank Thomas, Ken Griffey Jr., Jim Thome, they're all getting in.
Not all of them. We just missed a big one. The guy hit Gary Sheffield 500 home runs.
No, I get it. I don't know why Sheffield's not in.
Sheffield surprised me, I have to admit. Because he wasn't as blatant. Manny Ramirez, I understood. I mean, that dude.
Manny, though, talk about
Manny
watching
was
somebody
pushing the envelope.
Feared. I mean,
yeah, but he was pushing the envelope with steroids. Like, you can't be so freaking blatant.
Well, 2 suspensions.
Yeah, and I remember when he went to the Dodgers, I was like, oh my God, he's got roids coming out of his skin. These guys hitting everything. You can't get 100 on the test, Maggie. That's the thing. That's the thing with steroids. That's why I give Gary Sheffield a little credit. He got a 93 instead of 100.
The thing I'm not getting is how a guy can go from 22% to getting into the Hall of Fame within the next year or two. It doesn't make sense to me.
Is what it is.
It does not.
I think.
It doesn't make sense to me, especially when you have 10 slots on every ballot for a candidate. They need to go to the football model. That's the best model, I think, for Hall of Fames.
Like a committee?
Yeah, but I think the football does not get it. I think baseball actually does probably a better job than football. Football, they just let in 7 guys every year, and it's totally random.
But football, you're allowed to. You have a debate about it. You have a conversation about it. The baseball one, here's a ballot. Right. Go vote.
Yeah, but like, why was Jason Taylor of the Dolphins the first ballot Hall of Famer and Terrell Owens was not? They have their flaws, too.
Oh, definitely. 855-212-4CBS. Bogish has headlines. Hello.
Hello again. The headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Looking for a career path with flexibility and great pay and benefits? Go to progressive.com/careers and apply online today. We've got a protest in the NBA. The Blazers had a 1-point lead late in Oklahoma City last night. Malcolm Brogdon was caught in a trap. Head coach Chauncey Billups was calling timeout, but the officials didn't see him, so the defense continued. Brogdon dribbled for a second time. The double dribble gave the ball to OKC. Billups argued and went on the floor and argued and then got ejected.
We got timeouts. Referees usually are prepared for that, that instance, that situation. I'm at half court trying to call a timeout, It's just frustrating play. My guys play too hard for that.
The free throws from the Techs cost Portland the lead. Then Jalen Williams cost them the game.
Jalen Williams veers left, pulls up, looking for the lead, and got it. Jalen Williams, 2 seconds, 111-109.
This is the Jalen Williams without a Y in Jalen, by the way.
Oh, I was going to ask which one.
Yeah.
So is there any chance this protest works? I love when my team files an official protest.
Right.
I feel like that's not as big a thing anymore.
So satisfying.
Yeah, you have
protest
to. I'd even be like the Saints fans and sue. There's no chance this one works, right?
No,
but you can't, that was not such an egregious thing that he didn't see him calling a timeout.
So first of all, you got to pay $10,000 to file a protest.
The lawyer fee?
Yeah. There's an actual process that exists?
Yep. So you've got 48 hours to file the protest with your $10,000 check. Then you have 5 days to provide the evidence of why you should win. Once you give that evidence, the league has 5 days to respond. And the last protest successful was 2007. There's only been 6 total in NBA history.
You know what I would do if I were a team? I would find the most seedy ambulance chaser type lawyer to come, like Saul Goodman or something, with the papers coming out of the briefcase and all harried, the neckties off.
What's Rusty Harden doing nowadays?
What's that?
What's Rusty Harden doing nowadays?
Yeah, right. He's expensive. I want the 1-800, if you slipped and fall.
Yeah.
If you slipped and fell in front of a public library, you're entitled to $1 million person.
Bring in random witnesses who know nothing about this.
I want to wear a neck brace. I want Chauncey Billups in a neck brace the next time we see him.
Wait, when you say it worked in 2007, does that mean that they replayed the game? What do you mean?
So I was just remembering about this. It was a game with the Magic now. I'm forgetting. So the game involved Shaq. Shaq was incorrectly given a 6th foul, fouled out. He only had 5. They restarted the game with 9 seconds left, and the end didn't change. The team that was winning still won.
Was this a Donaghy game?
But Shaq had been traded off the team, so he wasn't even in the game when it resumed like 2 months later.
I remember this. Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Wow,
where's the
I don't
30 for
remember
30
that.
on this thing?
That's totally amazing.
Listen, not to dunk on the
Yeah.
refs, no pun intended, but we also yesterday, so they missed this last night. It was egregious. In that Karl Anthony Towns 62-point law, he had 62 points, but they lost to the Hornets. Were you about to do this?
No.
They put out the end of game report that officials missed 10 calls in the final 120 seconds of action.
10 calls.
10 calls.
You got to suspend the refs from that crew. You got to.
I mean,
10?
I never thought these end of game reports really did what they thought they were going to do, but ever since Donaghy, I think they want to be totally transparent. But how does it help you when you miss 10 calls?
In 2 minutes.
What are you doing?
Not in a game, in 2 minutes.
Were they like getting a hot dog and popcorn at the snack state?
One thing, I want to support the officials who ignored Chauncey Billups' timeout because the single worst thing about the NBA, and I think one of the reasons ratings are down, the timeouts at the end of the game. Has any team in the NBA history ever run out of timeouts? Has it ever happened? It is like a deep well of timeouts. Chauncey's like, we had timeouts left. He should have known. Yeah, I know you had timeouts left because every single game, there's 47 timeouts in the last 2 minutes. And then we do a 9-minute replay. Whatever. That official was moving the game along.
Yeah, is like people like Mike McCarthy and Todd Bowles have to be like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Timeouts. Well, not Todd Bowles.
Yeah, well, that's true. But timeouts in the NBA are terrible at the end of a game. Did they change the rules so you can't call 3 in the last minute? But anyway, so are they going to replay this bogus? It sounds like there's
I don't think so.
I didn't know that. Did you know that they replayed a Shaq game?
No, totally forgot. Or didn't, or never knew.
Yeah, I don't think you almost never win these, and it has to be really, really like procedural, like the Shaq one was. Just them not seeing you call timeout's not going to help. One other Portland thing, we've got DeAndre Ayton, the former Suns center, saying recently he's got nothing to prove. He's a max player. He'll stay a max player, but it'd be super cool if he played like a max player. Some thought he needed to get out of Phoenix. He's out of Phoenix. He's averaging a career low 12.8 points per game right now for those Blazers.
Oof, that's a guy I want on my team. Nothing to prove.
Yeah, way to have that dog in you. I got paid and I'm feeling pretty good. That's what all the greats said.
It's like it reminded me of Andrew Bynum when he said there's an ATM in every city in the NBA. That was basically
that's an all-time quote.
Wasn't it Ayton last week that couldn't get to a game because of ice?
Yes. Okay. Yes, he could not get to a game because the people in his Oregon community were trying to ice the streets around him, and apparently they were just it was impossible. It was an ice rink basically, and he missed the game.
He's from Arizona, right?
He's from the Bahamas.
Yeah.
Okay, and then played college.
Yes, played in college in Arizona. Right, played for the Suns.
All right,
I think the people that were upset were opposing guards. You ever seen that guy trying to defend a pick and roll? I mean, God, he gets taken so hard when he gets out at the top. Has no chance.
Yeah,
I think that's why they got rid of him.
Yeah, Charles Barkley says, he's the kind of guy you send a limo to. Make sure he gets to the game in perfect condition because you want him out there going against you.
I mean, he's a really good offensive player. I didn't know he was averaging 12 points, but yeah, he's not good.
On a bad team where he should be getting all the touches and all the shots, and he's getting 13 a night. LeBron didn't play because of left ankle pain last night.
Ooh.
The Lakers losing without him to the Clippers 127-116. The Pelicans smoked the Jazz 153-124 behind 17 points and a career-high 11 assists from Zion. And the Nuggets won in Indy 114-109. Nikola Jokic 31 points, 13 rebounds, and 10 assists. The Raiders are apparently close to hiring Tom Telesco as their GM, as if they didn't have a front row seat for Telesco's disappointing Charger teams. Second-ranked Purdue pounded Michigan last night 99-67. Zach Edey had 16 points and 10 boards. And our San Jose Sharks have their first 3-game win streak of the season, rallying to beat my Rangers 3-2 in overtime. Mom and Dad, back to you.
Wait, should we be worried about LeBron? I mean, he's had a calf contusion this season. Now he's got left ankle pain. I mean, these are, because these sound like serious injuries and not load management. Left ankle pain, that's the best they could come up with?
Well, I mean, what do you want?
That's called load management.
I mean, you want tendinitis to make it just totally obvious?
The word contusion means they're lying. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like, no, it's not that serious. Don't ask them about it, media. This is a contusion. 855, thank you, Bogush. 855-212-4CBS. Okay, coming up next, we will talk about the Raiders. Interesting move as their front office is now taking shape. What does it mean for this team? We'll get to that next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. So big hiring yesterday, juicy, big splash. The Las Vegas Raiders, one of the all-time NFL franchises, went and got Tom Telesco? What? Tom Telesco just got fired from the Chargers? I mean, this is what you're doing here? I think the Raiders blew an opportunity this offseason. I know everybody loves Antonio Pierce, great player, seems like a player's coach. But there is something with this organization. Mark Davis is their owner. You need to bring in Jim Harbaugh. You need somebody who keeps Mark Davis away from this team. Someone so powerful, Bill Parcells type. And I'm sorry, this Antonio Pierce Tom Telesco marriage. To me, the ceiling of this team is 10 wins because you're going to be the same old Raiders. It might not be this year or next year, but eventually you're going to fall into that path of mediocrity.
Well, I think what's funny about this is everyone looked at the Chargers roster and was like, oh, it's a function of this flawed roster. It's the not drafting, the right guys, or it's spending too much money on guys who didn't work out. I mean, this is not a GM who's exactly on a heater here, which is probably obviously why he got fired. Now, the other part about Tom Telesco, which I don't understand, so the former Chargers GM is now going to be the Raiders GM. Don't forget, when the Chargers needed a quarterback to replace Phillip Rivers, they were in the draft, and they were picking right behind the Miami Dolphins. And didn't they say at the time, we'll take whoever the Dolphins don't take? We'll take Tua or we'll take Herbert. We'll take whoever is there. It's like, that's not exactly the strong conviction that you wanted. And that's exactly what's going on with the Raiders. You need a quarterback. You can't just be satisfied with whoever falls to you.
But Tua would have been pretty sweet in L.A., too. He probably would have led the league in passing there, too, as well. I'm not hating on Tua here. Telesco can draft players. They just can't stay on the field.
Okay.
I mean, he got Rashawn Slater, was a great pick at left tackle. He got Asante Samuel Jr. He's a good drafter. The problems with the Chargers are not really their personnel. There's something else wrong with that. But if you think everyone gets hurt.
J.C. Jackson, who he signed, and then they basically had to just give back to New England, and that's just one.
Well, I mean, yes, and Khalil Mack was obviously older. I don't think, it's not really, they've accumulated good personnel with the Chargers. There's a lot of other issues there. The problem is that's the Chargers. Now you're going even lower on the dysfunction scale with the Raiders.
Lower or higher?
No, I think the Raiders are way more dysfunctional than the Chargers. The Raiders have made the playoffs twice since the Super Bowl year. The Chargers, like it or not, have had more success than that. So I just don't think you can win in that team with Mark Davis as your owner. I think there's an organizational problem. And I don't think anything's changing with Tom Telesco and Antonio Pierce.
Well, just who is the quarterback?
That's a great question.
I don't want to almost hear anything about the Raiders. I love that, Max Crosby and Devontae Adams, and these guys really wanted, Antonio Pierce and stood on the table for him. And that's great. You should have conviction. Sometimes it's hard to trust the players in these kinds of instances, though. And my question is just, who is going to be the quarterback of this team? And how are you going to find them? And right now you're picking 13th. So you're not exactly in the catbird seat here to try to get one of the top guys.
Well, you could go for a Bo Nix or J.J. McCarthy. It's a good year to be 13th if you want a quarterback. It's not, that's worked in the past. I mean, Deshaun Watson was 12, Patrick Mahomes was 10. It's not like it's a spot where you can't get a quarterback. You have to be a little lucky and really smart. They're going to draft. They have to draft somebody in this first round, right? Because they've not had any success. Bringing in Jimmy G, the free agent route, is nothing. But even if they do bring in the quarterback, don't you see that problem with the Raiders? There's something about them. They don't seem like a threatening team. And I think it's the way their organization runs. Kind of like Jerry Jones is holding back the Cowboys. I think Mark Davis is holding back the Raiders. And I don't think that's a hot take.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Daniel's in Virginia wants to weigh in on a thought from before. I said, I think Giannis is, if he's not a diva, he's displaying diva-like behavior with the firing now of a second head coach. Hey, Daniel, what's going on, dude?
Hey, Maggie. Hey, Perloff. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great.
Good. So real quick before I get in on the Giannis conversation, I was going to say that Perloff was over the top calling you out for hating on all everyone's favorites, and then you went and brought up the Pudge Rodriguez doping allegations. So I think Perloff is on track. You need to come back down to the comment.
Daniel, blame Jose Canseco. Don't blame me. I didn't write it in my book. He wrote it in his.
Yeah, you just need to forget the book happened. Everyone loves Pudge. So
but A-Rod's in the book, and everyone's like, that guy definitely. I mean, he admitted he cheated.
That's fair. You go ahead and dump on A-Rod all you want.
We have our favorites, don't we?
To come back to that whole Giannis thing, and again, I don't know a lot of basketball. I'm kind of like Perloff talking about baseball here, so take it for what it's worth. But I feel like Giannis is seeing diva as the only way to survive in the NBA, right? Like the only great superstar players that I can think of that aren't divas are, Jokic, who no one talks about, or Dame Lillard, who everyone talks about, but he doesn't even get to play where he wants, right? Like, you can be a superstar, but if you're not a diva, you end up in Milwaukee, you don't get to go to Miami.
Right,
so
right.
if I want what I want, I have to be, John
loud
Morant
about it,
or
right.
Draymond Green, or you have to make your opinion known.
Yeah, Daniel, thank you for making yours known.
Good
I think
point.
You've got some points there. We'll get more into it, and we got more football for you in just moments.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He thinks Frisbee golf is the sport of the future. She's sticking with football. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
4 quarterbacks left in the playoffs. Hey, welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. 4 quarterbacks left, Perloff, and we've got some juicy matchups here just from the quarterback perspective. The AFC may be a little bit sexier with Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson going head-to-head, but the NFC also pretty spicy with Brock Purdy, who is, somewhat of a polarizing figure, and Jared Goff, a quarterback who was at once sort of left for dead by his old team and now is 1 win away from going to the Super Bowl. So let's rank these 4 quarterbacks in terms of who you would want to be starting for your team, just talking about the quarterbacks here.
Yeah, so not who's had the best career, but moving forward. Okay, I'll go first.
Go ahead.
I will go number 1, a guy named Patrick Mahomes. Number 2, Lamar Jackson. Number 3, Brock Purdy. And number 4, although he's playing awesome, Jared Goff. This feels mean to rank anybody 3rd and 4th because all 4 quarterbacks are playing great football. But to me, that is, at least at the top, the obvious ranking. And I'm curious if you go the exact same way.
Well, I'm not going the exact same way. And I can understand why you would want Mahomes as number 1 if we are talking about a Lifetime Achievement Award and you're talking about what you think Mahomes can do and how dangerous he can be in games like this. Lamar Jackson is playing better than Patrick Mahomes right now.
In what way?
Well, he's got better numbers than Mahomes. He's got fewer interceptions than Mahomes. He is playing cleaner than Mahomes. He's got maybe better, I would say better weapons because Pacheco is quite the weapon and Kelsey is a first ballot Hall of Famer. But Kelsey has tailed off this year. You don't trust any of those receivers. And I think there's a reason why Lamar is the MVP this year and not Mahomes. So I do think that Lamar is playing the best right now. If you were an alien that landed on this planet and had never heard of Patrick Mahomes before and you just took the seasons of this year, you would say that Lamar Jackson is the quarterback you want.
Yeah, but I mean, better numbers running the ball, but passing the ball, like Lamar is not throwing it a lot. So does that? My point is, look at the way this game's going to go. Baltimore. You think Lamar's going to even get 200 yards passing? There's no way. They're going to run it right down Kansas City's throat the entire game.
Okay, but
you're barely even going to see Lamar drop back, I bet.
Okay, but here's the thing. If you're just looking at Lamar Jackson and his passing yardage numbers, I feel like you're missing the point about what Lamar and how dangerous he's been this year.
As a runner-passer combo.
Exactly.
Right.
I think that he has shown that he can get the ball downfield to his weapons because he actually has better weapons than he has before. And he's just never going to be that 300-yard-a-game passer guy.
No. But I think my argument is Patrick Mahomes has been killed by his wide receivers this year. He's at the top of his game still, and he's still putting up great numbers. And he's still going off in divisional round playoff games because he is the best maybe ever, possibly.
Yeah. Okay,
So,
but that's a Lifetime Achievement Award.
But no, but he's at the peak of his powers right now. You saw the game against your Bills he's at the top right now. And this sounds like I'm saying something negative about Lamar, but I'm sorry, Tom Brady was the best and Peyton Manning was the second best. And in this case, Lamar is Peyton Manning.
Okay, but you're talking about numbers for Patrick Mahomes, 27 touchdowns and 14 picks
Right,
with
and
0
with
rushing touchdowns.
With that receiving core, that's incredible that he even had 4,000 yards passing. Look at those scrubs.
Okay, last year he basically had the same crew and he led the league with 41 touchdowns. And it's not like it's
no, that is not the
different.
same. That is not the same crew. They definitely got worse. I mean, there's no Juju there, and they have to play these guys that they clearly don't want on the field. I mean, how many drops did
Juju accounts for 20 more touchdowns? No, I can tell you, definitely not.
Well, honestly, I think
literally led the league last year in touchdowns.
He did not know where to throw the ball. Did Patrick Mahomes look like himself last week?
He definitely.
So you're getting peak Patrick Mahomes right now. He's healthy. He's gotten some chemistry with these really, really mediocre receivers. I think Patrick Mahomes right now is the best quarterback in the NFL.
Okay, so you can say that Lifetime Achievement Award, but if you're talking this season and right now, I've got to give it to Lamar. The other part, too, is he was going against a Bills defense that was really being held together with duct tape and fishing line. I mean, you could tell by the way, especially in the second half, things were going where the Bills would go on these long, sustained drives and the Chiefs would score in 4 seconds. You know, the Bills defense just was not able to present the same type of challenge that this Ravens defense is going to present. It's just going to be you're stepping up in weight class in terms of the defense you're going to face. So yeah, Mahomes looked awesome last week, but let's be honest, like what's it going to look? It's going to look much different in the championship game.
But I think the strategic narrative of this football game, Baltimore against Kansas City, is Baltimore is going to run because they do not want the ball in Patrick Mahomes' hand because they know he's awesome. And the fact that your Bills, who are a pretty good running team, just ran all over the Chiefs. What are the Ravens going to do? I don't think you're going to see Lamar do much of anything. I think Lamar, and I'll even take it a step further, and I know this will be controversial, Lamar Jackson is a game manager. And now he's a game manager. He is the best game manager in the NFL. He knows exactly what his team needs to win. So he's going to hold back. He could throw for 400 yards a game. I'm positive about that. Yeah. But he knows that's not what I have to do to win this game. So he's going to hold back, and you're not going to see a ton of Lamar on Sunday. Believe it or not, I know that sounds crazy. He's going to be conservative. He is going to not risk an interception because he knows his team is so much better in the trenches in Kansas City. He knows they can run all over him. So I don't even think Lamar is going to have a plus Lamar game on purpose. I think he is just such a team guy that he's going to have a B game just in part because they don't want to throw the ball around and give the ball to Patrick Mahomes. I think it's going to be a really conservative Baltimore attack.
I'm sorry. I don't understand that. You think that in the AFC Championship game, the guy who's the MVP is going to specifically play conservatively and B+, you just said?
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see a lot of Lamar in this game. I definitely.
How do you not see him? He's their best weapon on the ground, and he's the quarterback. I don't understand how, if Lamar doesn't have a big game, how are they possibly going to win?
They're going to hand the ball off, and Lamar is going to run. It's going to be Gus Edwards and Lamar Jackson down the throat.
Okay, but that's still Lamar being.
He'll have 85 yards running, and the rest of the team will have 100 yards running. I don't see him like throwing the ball all over the yard at all by any stretch of the imagination.
Okay, well, you have Trent McDuffie, who's an all-pro corner, so there are guys you're going to probably have to avoid. But this is the whole deal about getting the weapons, about having Odell, and you have Zay Flowers, and you have Isaiah Likely, who's come on. We'll see if Mark Andrews is going to be healthy.
I think Lamar picks and chooses. I think he's going to play really conservative
And you
football.
see them winning in this scenario or losing in this scenario?
I think they're going to steamroll the Chiefs. I think this
with Lamar playing a muted role, but him running the ball isn't muted. Him running the ball is him using his greatest asset.
I think he is going the number one priority, and I saw this against Houston. He is not going to throw an interception. I think he's like
he's been really good. Only 7 picks this year. He's
I think he is really avoiding mistakes. And honestly, I think Mahomes will throw an interception. So maybe that hurts my Mahomes argument. Yes, I think Lamar is going to play a muted game. That is the exact way to put it. I do not, and I think Baltimore wants that too. I think Lamar wants that. He is all about winning this. He wants a Super Bowl so bad. He doesn't care what he looks like. I think he is not going to, if he gets out there and starts throwing it all over the place, he's going to risk interceptions, and that's the last thing he wants to do.
Okay, but fair. I don't think you don't want to turn the ball over. I mean, that's the biggest thing for a quarterback, especially in these big playoff games. But like, look at what happened in the divisional round. You played the Texans. You're tied at half. And what had to happen? Lamar had to come out like a house on fire. They scored 3 straight touchdowns, 3 straight possessions to put the game out of reach.
Right, but Lamar, total, he had 100 yards rushing, which is impressive, but he only had 150 yards passing.
Right.
I think you're going to see that same formula. I do not, he's had games this year where he's thrown for 300 yards, and he's got this huge completion percentage, and he's been incredibly accurate downfield. I just don't see Lamar wanting to do that on Sunday. And I think you know what I mean. Like, you do not want to get in any kind of fast-paced shootout with Kansas City because they have Patrick Mahomes. You want to take your biggest advantage is your run game and your run defense.
Okay, but that's what the Bills just did, and they ended up losing. I mean, they were right there, but they lost.
And that's why they were close. If they had won to go in an aerial 1-for-1 and get Mahomes against Allen, who wins that game? Mahomes.
Yeah, but it's funny because it kind of feels, and we're talking now about ranking the quarterbacks that you would want with the 4 quarterbacks left, and Perloff and I have different quarterback at the top. He has Mahomes, and I have Lamar Jackson. But here's the thing, right? Like, you say that you don't want to get into a shootout with the Chiefs, but also saying that this is the worst receiver core that Patrick Mahomes has had. It's guys who are knuckleheads, who drop passes, who make bad plays. Mecole Hardman fumbling at the goal line, gave the touchback to the Bills. Could have been one of the big mistakes of the entire postseason. So if you're, I get not wanting to get into a shootout, but in some ways, if you find yourself in one, don't you think the Ravens still could win the game?
They could, but that's 100% not the game script they want. That's the exact opposite of the game script.
The defense that the Ravens have, they don't want to. Why would they? They're not going to get into a shootout.
They have an outstanding run game and an outstanding defense. So they want, and they know they can beat up Kansas City pretty big here because I think Buffalo beat them up on the front line. Also, Kansas City's offensive line, Jawan Taylor and Donovan Smith. I mean, how many flags are they going to get in one game? Who knows? I just think that. I honestly, and I'm going to stick with, I think Lamar is a game manager. He'll do exactly what he needs to do to win. I don't think he cares at all about what his stats look like. And I think to his credit, I thought against Houston, there are a lot of times where he held on to the ball and did not fling it downfield. He's like, I don't need to do that now.
Right.
I'm going to keep it slow. I don't care if I get 300 yards passing. I'm actually saying this to his credit. Game manager is always used as an insult, but Lamar is an interesting player to me because he seems to know exactly what's going on around him. He seems to do exactly what he needs to do for the Ravens. And I think that's how this game plays out. I think he slows the game down. They just sort of rely on their strengths because if it's going to be a passing battle, that goes back, that gives the edge to Kansas City, and that's not what Baltimore wants.
I think you got to have the fine line here because yes, I agree you can have this sort of run first, more quote unquote conservative game plan, but at some point you're going to have to take your shot. I mean, this is something that really hurt the Bills where they were 0 for 3 on any kind of Josh Allen 20-plus yards down the field. They could not get that explosive play, obviously highlighted by the Stephon Diggs drop. They could not get that explosive play when they needed it. At some point, you're going to need that to really take out the Chiefs. I mean, they're not going to go away easily.
Well, you probably will. Even in this formula, if you run, Kansas City's going to creep up, and eventually Lamar is going to see that and take advantage. But it won't be a lot. I mean, I'll bet you he comes out and he is not throwing downfield a lot.
So you think that you're willing to say here, as we're sit here on this Wednesday before the AFC Championship game, that coming out of the game on Sunday, Lamar Jackson won't be the story? Like, that's kind of what you're implying.
I don't think it's going to be a Lamar game. I think.
Wow, I disagree.
I think it's going to be a defense run. I think Baltimore's defense is going to be the story.
Well, they're going to be. They're
like
the
when
number one scoring defense in the league. They have to be. They have to be a big part of this if they're going to pull off this win.
I'll give you an analogy. What was the best game of the Bills season this year? The one game
against the Cowboys.
Right. And what did Josh Allen say after that game?
He got an A on the group project and didn't do anything.
Yes. I think it's closer to that game. I don't think Lamar, this is not the Lamar game. I think he could have a game and say he played the Niners in the Super Bowl, maybe it's a different formula. But I think Lamar kind of, maybe I'm dead wrong, but I would bet the under on his passing yards. I don't think he wants to start throwing it around. Lamar is really, really good at this. Like, he knows how to win football games. Look at his win percentage.
Yeah, I know, but what's the biggest criticism he gets is that he can't win in the playoffs. And
yeah, but he's been injured and missed a lot of the most recent players as he's developed and he's a more mature player.
I'm with you. I think that let's let him get a few more playoff games under his belt before we start saying he's some big playoff choker. I mean, he's 1-3.
Totally.
Last week.
And the other thing too is the reality is, and you know this is true, you do not want to see Patrick Mahomes with the ball in his hand at the end of a game.
No, I mean, It's those death
That's
taxes and the Chiefs scoring on the final drive.
And that's why I put him number one. But
and I get the Baltimore defense thing. I've been riding the Baltimore defense all season, but it just feels like when I've seen Pat Mahomes lose in the playoffs, it's because some quarterback rose to a level that we didn't expect. Burrow rose to a level we didn't expect. Oh, not Tom Brady didn't lower than we didn't expect, but Tom Brady played outstanding in that Super Bowl. Like I don't know if you're beating Patrick Mahomes in a must-win scenario by kind of just getting the A and not doing anything.
Cincinnati beat him because Lou Anarumo completely solved the Chiefs, and they didn't even score a point in the second half. That was such a
bizarre game. That was such a bizarre game because remember the Chiefs were rolling in the first half, and then they went for it on a fourth down right before halftime and didn't get it. Remember, and it felt like the momentum kind of switched, and then Bengals defense just bottled them up.
And by the way, Tom Brady, that was not the story of the Bucs-Chiefs Super Bowl. The story of the Bucs-Chiefs Super Bowl was the Chiefs couldn't block anybody, and they scored 9 points. I think it's, I don't think Lamar wants to go tete-a-tete in a passing game. That doesn't make any sense for Baltimore because their strengths lie elsewhere.
855-212-4CBS. Chris is in Richmond, California. He's got his own Final Four quarterback ranking. Hey, Chris, what's up?
Hey, Maggie, Perloff, how we doing? Good show.
Appreciate you. How you been?
Yeah. Okay, I'm okay. Can't complain. It's a little wet over here this morning, but we need it, so it's all good.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to comment real quick, keep it short and sweet. I know it's going to sound crazy. I know we're going off of numbers and everything, but it seems like for this year at least, we've gone off of a whole different system, and I think we're kind of thinking about it differently, maybe a little bit wrong.
Okay.
I know traditionally it's quarterback is the number one road warrior. He's the road warrior. He's the guy. You know, you have a question, you go to him. Now it just seems like I give the slight edge to Brock Purdy right behind Lamar, obviously, but over the other two. And it's going to sound crazy, but the only reason why is because the weapons around him.
Right.
And I know you guys kind of knock him because of his weapons, but at the same time, I think that's what makes a quarterback great. And kind of looking back at the last year's championships, even going back when Brady had killer teams, I mean, we weren't talking about his offense.
Right.
We were talking about short checkdowns and defense, and then we thought he was a GOAT. We're still calling him the GOAT, but for some reason, because the guy's name starts with Brock, we want to hate on him so much. So I'm putting him at number 2, and of course I'm real. I'm a Niner fan. I'm still putting Lamar as number 1. He's God-gifted. That guy's different. So
and he came in and beat you guys. So you have to sort of give a little respect where it's due there. And to put Purdy in front of Mahomes, though, Chris, that's a take. We're going to give you a show here on CBS Sports Radio.
It's for this year by year, babe. You know how it goes. We're day by day, but I'll take year by year. This year, give it a BP, but that's all I'm saying. Good show, guys.
Thanks, Chris, and appreciate that. Yeah. And I get what he's talking about. And, knocking Brock Purdy, the only reason why I knocked Brock Purdy was the MVP conversation. That's it. What Brock is doing, I think we all acknowledge, is really, really special. I just thought MVP bridged too far. To put him above Mahomes, though, Perloff, is something else.
That's tough. And I feel bad putting Lamar number 2 on the list because he's obviously the MVP of the league right now. But Mahomes is Mahomes. So it's not like I'm putting him number 2 behind, behind Brock Purdy. I'm putting number 2 behind Mahomes. You can't put anybody. You cannot possibly put Brock Purdy above Mahomes. That's just not fair. I do like his point. Brock Purdy, if he plays like Tom Brady in the early Patriots, that'll win you a Super Bowl. He doesn't have to be the MVP to win you a Super Bowl. I got it.
They need to kick out Jake Moody for Adam Vinatieri, and then they'd really have it.
I got a note from a listener that was right up my alley that you will love.
Okay.
It's not worth saving over the break, but he sent me a note. A listener named Duncan. Did Brock Purdy lie about his hand size at the combine, and it's really a small hand problem? That's why I can't play in the rain.
Oh, that's up your alley.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with hand size. So Brock Purdy has a normal size hand, but does he really? Now I'm starting to worry about Brock Purdy's hands. Well, the guy asked me, have I ever shaken Brock Purdy's hand, and what did I think? We did. What did you think? Do you remember?
I don't think about these things. See, this is a you thing. I've never shaken, that's not true. I shook Adrian Peterson's hand. And that's very famous that he...
It's a vice. Yeah.
Yeah, that he really grips people's hands and kind of leaves a very memorable handshake. And I thought, how is he going to shake my hand? He can't do this to a woman, would feel very, very odd. And he almost held my hand like a teacup.
Oh, he was gentle.
It was like he would held a couple fingers and just sort of shook it that way. He wouldn't even like fully embrace my
That's
hand.
so interesting. I wouldn't know what he was going to do. By the way, Brock Purdy 9.25-inch hands. I don't know. Numbers
is that
lie.
good or bad? I don't know.
That's pretty good.
Okay.
That's average. But he obviously couldn't grip the ball in the rain, so it makes me worry about his hand size. I mean, Kenny Pickett's what, 8 and 9.25 is okay. I mean,
Is it so much about hand size?
Hand size is everything.
No, but I think sometimes it's also how your skin. Now we're getting really deep, but sometimes I think it's how your skin deals with like cold or wet. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's always
circulation.
Yeah, like I think he may have big hands, but it's just I know, like I have regular size hands, but like my hands are terrible in cold weather.
Yeah.
Like I don't have more smaller hands than normal people, but like I know like I can't grip footballs. I can't do anything in cold weather. So I wonder for him, like he just doesn't do well
From Arizona.
in cold weather.
He's,
Right.
Well, but he played
Played
at
at
Iowa State.
I got to tell you, I wish I had bigger hands because I cannot grip a basketball well. That has been the killer. Basketball hand size. Ever seen Kawhi's hands in person? Or
It's a claw.
I mean,
It's a
all
claw.
those guys, the great basketball players have gigantic hands.
You know who else backs up your hand size thing? Boomer
yeah.
Esiason down
Does he
the
got
hall.
big hands?
Massive.
Yeah, of
But
course.
He says that Josh Allen has got the big hands, which is why he
Oh,
can
yeah.
be good in cold weather.
It's like throwing a golf ball for Josh Allen.
This is Boomer Esiason.
Yeah. No. Honestly, I don't even want. What are you going to test a quarterback at the combine for? Who cares what his 40 is? Who cares what he bench press? Hand size is the only measurement I need to see for this year's draft.
855-212-4CBS. Jesus is in the chat. EJ says that Purdy needs to rough up the skin on his hands. I don't know, do construction work in the offseason? How do you do that?
Once I lose, you should do something that I would not suggest he does.
You can't urinate on your hands. That's an old wives' tale.
I know, but he does it. I've seen there's other weird stories about players and that they do the rough of their hands, but he can do some things, but it would be quite disgusting.
There's no chance that urinating on your hands makes them rougher, right?
I would think that would work. Also, too, mentally, if you're going that far, I think you're committed to it.
Also, here's the thing. You pee on your hands to try to rough them up, like Moises Alou allegedly. Did he ever admit to it?
I don't remember.
Okay.
We've
Anyway.
taken it as fact.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's been repeated so much, it might as well be fact. So then what happens? You can't just then go immediately and wash them off. You just got to sit with the pee hands for a while? What, an hour?
Well, you guys know if you get stung by a jellyfish that if we're at the beach, say, in California one day, someone's going to have to pee on you. That's just facts.
Not if you have some vinegar handy. Then you can also do that.
Who has vinegar at the beach?
Well, that happened to me once when I happened to be on a nude beach that I didn't know was nude. I just happened to be in a foreign country. I can tell the story really fast. My husband and I happened to be in Spain, in the south of Spain in the middle of the summer, which is like basically sitting in the middle of the sun. And we went to a beach that apparently is just a regular beach, but everyone's nude there. And it's not like in a nude sexy way, like families together nude. My husband was wearing board shorts. I was wearing a bikini. It was like we were wearing snow pants. I mean, we were so overdressed for the occasion of being at this nude beach. And I got stung by a jellyfish. And all of a sudden, I'm like, ow, I got stung. This older, heavier gentleman says, Senor, vinagre, motions me over to his blanket. My husband escorts me over to the blanket where the guy then proceeds to sort of turn around completely naked, opens the cooler that he had brought to the beach, bends over, rummages through the cooler, gives us the vinegar, and I'll tell you guys, I can't unsee what I saw that day.
This is way too early in the morning for that image.
855-212-4CBS. But the vinegar worked. 855-212-4227. Okay, coming up next, we're giving out some NFL awards in a Maggie and Perloff twist. It's Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Man, I am upset about the Oscar nominations. Me and everybody else, how they screwed over the people behind Barbie. That is not what we're going to talk about right now. We are going to do our own season-ending award show. I forget how we're introducing this, Maggie. What do we got here? Can you explain it?
We're calling this the NFL Oscars
Okay.
with our own categories that are a little different than the traditional Oscars. And we will give you our two nominees, Perloff and myself, and then maybe the audience can vote on who should win the award. How does that sound?
Okay.
Or these also could be our 2 winners. How about that?
Yeah. I love. You're like, let's make this a contest because mine are going to be better.
I don't know if they're going to be better. It's up to the public to decide. Thankfully, not the.
It's up to the Academy to decide. The public obviously doesn't have a choice here because the Academy screwed up their nominations. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so we are going to do a couple different categories here. Again, different than the actual Oscars. So first category we are going to do. Let's start with the heavy hitter. Best villain.
Ooh.
Best villain of the NFL season. Perloff, go ahead.
So when you think of villain in NFL, it's got to be the man in stripes. Who is screwing up everything? I mean, honestly, it's just the way we tweet these days. Any bad call, and I'm jumping all over it on social media. But who is the worst official this year? Definitely Brad Allen. Screwed up the Cinderella Lions, about to beat the Dallas Cowboys. Have this brilliant play where multiple linemen report is eligible. Unfortunately, Brad Allen did not hear it.
Dan Skipper, an extra offensive lineman, comes in. Play action. End zone. There it is! Unbelievable! The 2-point try is good, and it's Taylor Decker. Now a flag comes in at the end, and they've thrown another. The question is, did Skipper, an offensive lineman, report? What else could it be?
Touching by number 68.
So the call is an illegal touch.
There you go. Taylor Decker caught the ball, and they thought Skipper reported. So, and then the Lions now, they make it very clear with the official. And Brad Allen just didn't even kid. Both guys ran up to him, and he just ignored them both. Terrible mistake. Luckily, the Lions are still alive, and it's not going to be like the Saints pass interference call. It's one of the worst screw-ups I've ever seen, and probably 45 million people watching. He's clearly the villain number 1.
For me, the villain is easy this year. Some of you love her, a lot of you hate her. Taylor Swift.
Do we have the special guest at Arrowhead Stadium? And I'll warn you, brace yourselves, ladies and gentlemen, you might want to just look at the internet for the last time, because when this gets spread around the World Wide Web, the internet's going to break. The rumors apparently are true. Taylor Swift is friends with Travis Kelce and the Kelce family. That was Mama Kelce in the luxury suite at Arrowhead Stadium.
And it just went on from there. So my best villain for this NFL season, Taylor Swift. Yours is Brad Allen. Let's move on to our next category. Best plot twist, or not best, excuse me. Biggest plot twist of this season is who?
I'll go with C.J. Stroud and the Texans because everybody ripped that pick at number 2. Everyone thought the Texans wanted Bryce Young, and then they won a game at the end of the season, fell number 2, and they were rebuilding. And D'Amico Ryans we all liked, but they thought they would be a terrible team. Boom, out of nowhere, they're awesome. Did not see that coming.
As Stroud, little play action to start. Good protection. Airs it out for Collins. He's got it. One play. Touchdown, Texans.
There you go.
The biggest plot twist for me, as we're giving out some Oscars here for the NFL season, is Aaron Rodgers getting injured 4 plays into the season.
And now Rodgers sits down. Loss of 10 on the play, and hopefully the Jets are thinking that's the only loss on that play. And he's coming out of the game.
Rodgers, everyone wanted to see him on a new team. 4 plays in, he's done for the season. That was the biggest plot twist of this NFL year. Okay, more Oscars. We're giving out Best Cameo.
Oh, I'll go first. Now, I have to admit I'm not super familiar with his repertoire, but the rapper Blueface at the Rams game stole the show.
But if you have that kind of stuff happening at games, adults are not going to want to bring their kids.
No, you can't bring children.
No, and all of a sudden in 20 years, you're not going to have these 4- and 5-year-olds because they're like, well, I'm not taking that game. You know what I'm saying?
Did security stop it? Like, what happened?
So I think security did. They ended up kicking him out. So, which is wild. He proposed to his girlfriend in the suite and then had strippers. I mean, my guess is those are strippers.
That's Kelly Stafford on her podcast, Matthew Stafford's wife. I mean, that's like the most anti-NFL move of all time. That's why I appreciate it. It's the opposite of Taylor Swift. The NFL wants Taylor Swift in the booth. Their worst nightmare is Blueface bringing a bunch of strippers into a box at the Rams game, and then somehow proposing to his girlfriend was a cherry on top.
I love that she's predicting the downfall of the NFL because Blueface brought a bunch of strippers.
I gotta tell you, as a 5-year-old Andrew would have been very curious about what was going on in that box. I don't think I'd be like, Dad, I want to go again next week.
I don't know if Kelly Stafford understands how this thing works. For me, best cameo has to be the dual tandem, the tag team, if you will, of Tommy Cutlets and his agent.
Play action from DeVito. End zone. Catch is made. Touchdown. Isaiah Hodgins. Family section. And his agent. This guy, the agent may break the internet. The heck's going on? They having kisses everywhere. Giants up 4.
I mean, the agent looks like he's wearing a costume at times. Like he is going to a Halloween party dressed as like a mobster or something like that. And of course, Tommy Cutlets will be signing sandwiches and probably T-shirts everywhere for the end of time. Yeah. Anyway, right. Okay. Best screenplays. We're giving out some Maggie and Perloff NFL Oscars. Perloff, your best screenplay is what?
Honestly, it's so obvious. The Detroit Lions, especially if they win, it's going to be a movie. If any of the 4 remaining teams, the other 3 should be there. Detroit, if they win, it's Disney. Obviously, Ryan Gosling will play Jared Goff. That's a given.
Yeah.
So it's all set. The screenplay has been written. They kind of have to win, but to me, this is by far the most interesting story of the season.
Goff takes a knee. There will be no more snaps. And for the second time ever, it can be said the Detroit Lions are playing for an NFC championship.
There you go, Kevin Kugler on Westwood One. And when we say screenplay, we're kind of leaning into the NFL scriptwriters. Like, what's the best storyline here from the year? And for me, the best screenplay of the year is the fact that the Packers could actually go from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love, and it could be 3 all-time great quarterbacks. I'm not trying to anoint the kid too quickly, but man, does he look good.
Here's the snap. Jordan Love looks downfield, throws off the back foot to the end zone. Touchdown! Tavian Wicks on the post, and the Packers lead it 20-0.
I mean, just amazing that they would actually pull off 3 franchise quarterbacks back to back to back. It is unreal. That's the best storyline of the season. Okay, last one. Best performance, Maggie and Perloff NFL Oscars.
Yeah, I'm going with the Dolphins dropping 70 on the Broncos.
Second down and 2. A-Chain, big hole. Turns it on, accelerating. You can kiss him goodbye. 69 points on a 67-yard touchdown.
It was like Oklahoma football in the 80s, just Devon A-Chain and Raheem Mostert running crazy. And then the best part is, people might not remember, Mike White threw a 70-yard bomb to Robbie Anderson at the end of the game. That's how good this was.
For me, this is the incredible comeback also involving the Dolphins, but on the wrong side of it. The Titans coming back from down 2 scores in the final 2 minutes to absolutely stun Miami. Oh, I'm sorry. My best performance. I had a different one. I'm so sorry. Mine is, how dare I? My best performance, Green Bay Packers again. How did I mess that up? Green Bay Packers again, taking out the Dallas Cowboys in the wild card round.
And he takes the snap, fakes the handoff, tight pocket, throws it, intercepted back the other way. It's going to be a pick 6 for Darnell Savage. Oh my goodness!
I think the intended target was C.D. Lamb and Darnell Savage, but he was not the primary coverage guy. He was in the neighborhood and just jumped that pass.
Wow, we had a La La Land Moonlight situation right there. You gave the award to the wrong nominee.
Oh my gosh, where's Jimmy Kimmel? Yes, final score 48-32, but it really wasn't that close, and that was my best performance. It was shocking.
Right now, Will Levis, there's a tear rolling slowly down his eye. He's,
I don't know why.
Who's that guy that had the wrong? The host had the wrong award for the Oscars.
That's what he said, the La La Land. I'm Warren Beatty
or
right
was
now.
it Steve Harvey had the wrong Miss Universe?
That's who it was, yeah.
Oh, that was the best.
Steve Harvey with the wrong Miss America?
That cracks me up.
That's what it was, yeah. And then Jimmy Kimmel had to fix the Oscar thing. Yeah, I knew I mixed those up.
There we go. Sorry, I couldn't land the plane there.
There you go. And yeah, we'll get later in the show. Can I vent about the Barbie thing later? It's just crazy. Well, we should save that because I think that is so interesting. And listen, you're a woman, so obviously I don't know if that made you mad as a feminist, but like the fact that Greta Gerwig was not nominated, what are we doing here, people? Anyway.
We got a lot of thoughts on that. Bogusch has headlines. Good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Want to start with Oscars?
I was thinking about it. 43 games, 30 of them win. That's all Adrian Griffin gets in Milwaukee. The Bucks made the coaching change despite having the second best record in the East. The men who messed up this switch so badly will answer questions later today. They may explain why they're the latest team to sign up for Doc Rivers, blowing a lead in the playoff series. The current ESPN analyst is the apparent heavy favorite to replace Griffin. The New Orleans Pelicans scored their most points ever last night against the Jazz.
Clarkson's shot really tough, short. Dice on the floor. The lob. Baby! Oh, man! That was serious enough.
That's from Pels TV. Zion going way up in the air for a one-handed alley-oop. He scored 17, had a career-high 11 assists in this 153-124 rout of Utah. The Clippers stayed hot, 127-116 over the Lakers. They've won 11 of 13. Kawhi Leonard, 25, 11, and 10. The Thunder snuck past the Blazers, 111-109. And the Knicks rallied past the Nets, 108-103, 30 points apiece from Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle. Chet Holmgren, part of the 41-member USA Hoops player pool for the Paris Olympics. Victor Wembanyama can't do that either. Tyrese Halliburton, Anthony Edwards, Austin Reeves also among the younger guys on this list, which can change before the roster is picked in the spring.
Can't do it because he's not American.
Correct.
That's all you got.
He'll be playing for France, though, right?
Yeah, I was about to say.
Well, Joel Embiid spurned France to play for Team USA, and they were very unhappy about that.
Yeah, is there any way we could get Wemby? I guess not.
Cleveland center Tristan Thompson suspended 25 games for PEDs. That's Chloe's man, right? Apparently had a full regimen going, testing positive for two things, a growth hormone and for another substance that promotes muscle enhancement. That one's a favorite of bodybuilders. So Tristan Thompson can hang out, he can practice, but he's got to leave the gym 2 hours before a game as he serves his suspension.
That's written in the rule.
Yes.
What's up with the 2 hours, like before you eat, but after you stretch?
I guess 5. That's starting at 5 for a 7 o'clock game. That's like the real time where you can't be there.
A lot of Tristan Thompson caught cheating, shocker. Things out there. Yeah. I didn't even know he was still playing.
I know. A lot of people were surprised. I was surprised when I saw him playing against the Knicks a couple months ago.
Is there anything... listen, I'm not a proponent of steroids. You should never use them. They're terrible for your body. We know the effects of this is awful. But when a guy's really trying to hang on to a career, is it kind of like, hey, at least he's trying?
This is, to me, why I hate the Baseball Hall of Fame. Because you know how many bad players are using steroids? And used them during the 90s and used them in the early 2000s, like a ton. And we only ding the great players.
It's not a great way.
We only ding the ones that could be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
How could add guys cheating? They don't matter.
Right, no, exactly.
Like, I don't care about Brett Boone.
Yeah, guys who could be in the Hall of Fame, guys who have real accolades on the line. They're the only ones who really get real punishment.
They take the heat, but all the minor leaguers are so desperate to get to the pros, they'll take anything. But right, like, how are we going to call them out? Why?
Well, I mean, it's so competitive, but I don't know. There's something about guys who are trying to hang out. Maybe I shouldn't be this sympathetic. Maybe it's cutting corners, and when your time's up, your time's up. And Tristan Thompson's made tons of money. He doesn't need this.
I heard, by the way, Tristan Thompson's playing really well for the Cavs. That's like a storyline right now.
With all that stuff in your body, I hope so.
Like all of a sudden, like he's a very effective backup center in today's NBA. Where I was shocked to hear that.
I guess my disappointment is if you're going to cheat, you got to cheat with something that we don't know about. He was cheating with two things that were clearly not allowed.
It's like when guys get caught for Winstrol. I'm like, wow, that's the stuff from the 80s.
Right? Yeah. Or like cow toenails, like something crazy that you don't really get like outside the U.S. Not two things from GNC.
Or even like, wasn't Fernando Tatis? It was something he took like a women's drug that people thought masked steroids, basically. Like stuff like that.
Do you remember
that's old school.
Do you remember the deer antler spray?
Oh,
you
yeah.
guys remember that?
Yeah. The Ray Lewis.
That was Ray Lewis. And then VJ Singh, I think, was also taking the deer antler spray.
But by the way, we all think the modern baseball players are taking steroids. They just figured a way to get around the test, right? Is there anybody who thinks they're clean?
I mean, I don't know what the percentage is, but I'm sure people are always cheating. I don't know if it's a lot.
I think they've mastered the test. I think they're still cheating because the home run numbers are huge nowadays.
I know they blame that on the different ball, different parks.
Yeah, I've heard all that crap from MLB before.
But they're worse offensive players, though. Even the home run hitters aren't hitting 330 like Bonds and Sosa.
Yeah, I mean, but still, like there are certain players on certain teams in the southeast region of America who are having statistical anomaly years.
But they're not hitting 70 home runs.
Yeah, look at the Braves lineup. There's a lot of home runs there.
Yeah, but no one's hitting 80. You have a lot of guys. The difference now is like little dudes hit home runs.
I know, but that's the Perloff's point. You can't get 100 on the test. You know, I don't think they're striking out on purpose. Don't get me wrong, but
no, I mean, I think it's naive to think that there's not some form of steroids in the game.
If there's one sport you're watching and you're like, man, I think, well, maybe people don't think like this when they're watching. But if there's one sport you're watching and think everybody's on steroids, it's football.
Yeah, and we don't care.
Not even a little bit.
And it doesn't hurt you in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, Antonio
nothing.
Gates.
Yeah, they want to get Rodney Harrison in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I kept hearing that all weekend. I'm like, oh, that guy used steroids, and admitted it.
It doesn't matter. I mean, I think people are, it's a survival technique in the NFL.
Different threshold. What else you got, Bugs?
Well, speaking of the Hall of Fame, Adrian Beltre, a career 286 hitter. Joe Mauer at 306. Todd Helton at 316, all elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame yesterday. Lefty reliever Billy Wagner missing by 5 votes, maybe because he had just one career hit. We also have the Brewers nearing a deal with former Phillies first baseman Rhys Hoskins. The Falcons' coaching search seems far from over. They met with Rams D coordinator Raheem Morris yesterday. They've got a second meeting coming with Texans OC Bobby Slowick. Plus, they're going to Detroit to meet again with Lions coordinators Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. All of this after flirting with Bill Belichick last week.
Belichick's not getting that job. Unless it sounds like unless he makes a big concession or something, because they're bringing in everybody under the sun. What if Belichick's not coaching next year? The Bills are not firing their coaches. They just did their press conference yesterday.
Yeah, Eagles too.
Same with the Eagles doing their press conference today.
Would have been 2 spots for Belichick. They're gone.
The openings are just the openings right now. So it's Atlanta's still open. Who else is still open?
Well, if the Chargers don't do Harbaugh, then maybe Belichick gets back in there.
Washington. They've been kind of
Washington's
quiet.
going to be Ben Johnson, right?
That's the assumption, yeah.
So we have 3 openings, right? Oh, Seattle.
Carolina. Did you say Carolina? No.
Seattle and Carolina, so 5.
And we believe, right, Tepper wants Belichick.
Has he interviewed there?
Oh, I
don't
actually
think so.
I didn't see that. Why Belichick can't go to Carolina?
I mean, he can't. But I thought that was early, like when he was still like in season. The end of the year was that Tepper would want Belichick.
The report that Belichick has quote asked others about Tepper.
Oh, yeah. You can ask me. No.
I was going to say.
I got you, Bill.
Ask everybody.
The public record.
Yeah. I'm done, guys. Back to you.
Bogusch, thank you so much. Coming up, one team contend to run it back. We'll get to that next. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio. Listen, I get it. The sting of the Bills' loss is still very, very fresh, but Sean McDermott, the head coach, Brandon Beane, they met the media, the GM, that is, met the media yesterday. And one thing Sean McDermott said, Perloff, really didn't sit well with me. He said the Bills don't need wholesale changes.
So this is not a situation where you strip it down to the studs, you start all over. We've done a lot of good things, and the players have done a lot of good things. I think you really start with understanding the success that we've had and how we've gotten it. And then you make tweaks along the way to try and get ourselves to become world champions.
I don't love that. To me, you learn more from your failures than you do from your successes. And the Bills have had notable ones in the postseason. So why not say we're going to look at what we did wrong and how we can eliminate those things, not what we can do right and do more of it. Am I splitting hairs here?
No, I like what you're saying. You do have to learn from your mistakes. But is maybe what he's saying a function of what are the real options with the way the salary cap here? Is he telling the fans the best thing he can in this situation? If they wanted to sort of rip the Band-Aid and do things radically different, are they in a position to do that?
No, they are not. And you're right about that.
Yeah.
Brandon Beane is the general manager. Let's play cut 2, Pete. He says he's disappointed, but this is not a rebuild.
Were there some plays we like back? Yes. But we had the ball at the 2-minute warning in field goal range to tie with a chance to take the lead. We were right there. So while we're extremely disappointed, nobody's more disappointed than me. I'm also not going to just throw the whole season out and say, let's tear this thing up and start over.
Yeah.
Well, you can't throw the whole season on Terry, but you're right. I could hear you. I could feel your cringe from 3 feet away there.
That's not going to go over well with the Bills fans. And the thing is, they also went on to talk about how it's going to be 1-year deals for guys, and they can't be shopping at the most expensive stores for free agents because they just have too much money tied up. And that falls really on the general manager and the team building. You know, too much money to too many guys who have not aged well on the defense.
Von Miller.
Oh, I mean, that looks like such a mistake. It didn't at the time, but now that is brutal. Coming up, it is Wednesday, which means great debate series around here. This is something loosely tied to the news and loosely tied to the Kansas City Chiefs. Get to that next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She can put away a large pizza by herself. He's allergic to cheese. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome to the show. Wednesdays around here, we do something called the Great Debate Series, which is something loosely tied to the news. And we found ourselves this week talking a lot about dynasties, Perloff, because of the Kansas City Chiefs back in the AFC Championship game and a chance for them to, Andy Reid and Mahomes, that is, Kelsey, get their third Super Bowl in 5 years and really stake their claim to being this modern dynasty.
It sure feels like we're developing that. Now, they have to win it. It's going to be hard to win a third. They're underdogs against Baltimore, and they might be underdogs against the Niners, too. I don't feel it's easy, but the dynasty, to me, the whole argument depends on what era you're in, because it's way harder to do it now than back in the day. So I just want to put that out there now before we give our choices. It's one thing in 1948 to have a dynasty. It's another thing in 2023.
Let's hit it.
The Great Debate Series.
Okay, so here it is, the greatest dynasty of all time. That is the Great Debate Series for today.
I am not going first. I need to play off you guys. I have a less obvious one. So
then I'll go first. I'm
yeah,
happy.
Do you have an obvious? Oh, not obvious, but a clear one.
Of course, it should be obvious if we're talking about greatest dynasties of all time. I'll give you the New England Patriots, 2001 to 2019. We're talking about 9 Super Bowl appearances. We're talking about 6 Super Bowl wins. Let's go to 13 AFC Championship game appearances, including 8 straight from 2011 to 2018. I'm giving you 19 consecutive winning seasons with the Patriots, 17 division titles, including 11 straight from 2009 to 2019. When you had Brady as the primary starter for the Patriots, 18 seasons, he appeared in half of the Super Bowls during that time and won 2/3 of them. This is dominance. Belichick, the most playoff wins of any coach, the most Super Bowl appearances as any coach, if you count his time as an assistant. You got Brady holding records for quarterback for career wins, playoff wins, Super Bowl MVPs with 5. And against the rivals in that era, 11-6 record against Peyton Manning, although Manning did get him in the playoffs. He's 2-3 against Manning in the playoffs, so credit there. 7-3 against Big Ben, including 2-0 in the playoffs. Phillip Rivers never beat Tom Brady, ever. This is what you have to judge these dynasties by. The Patriots, not just because of the dominance, but the length of it. How could Bill Belichick and Tom Brady even survive for this long together? Eventually, of course, ego got in the way, but that's not before they had 2 decades of just destruction.
So
they were feared.
We're not considering cheating at all in this. I guess that's totally fine with you, Maggie Gray. The ethical standards here.
Let's talk about the rest of all of your dynasties and see if cheating comes up again.
I don't know. I don't think anyone here is picking one with 2 gates associated to them.
Well, I'll have to live with my choice. Who's next? Perloff.
I want to go last.
All right,
I want to
EJ,
go
go
last.
ahead.
All right, so when we think about basketball, you think about the NBA, you think about the foundation of the NBA and where it started. You got to go to Cigar Smoke from Red Auerbach, blocked shots by Bill Russell, Bob Cousy dribbling the ball behind his back and through people's legs. And of course, this from John Havlicek.
Greer's putting the ball on a play. He gets it out deep, and Havlicek steals it over to Stan Jones. Havlicek stole the ball. It's all over. It's all over. Johnny Havlicek is being mobbed by the fans. It's all over.
The greatest dynasty of all time, the 1950s and 60s Celtics. Now, look, last week I had to give Pat Riley his due.
Yeah.
This week I'm giving the Celtics their due. So it's been a rough 2 great debates for your boy EJ. But look, between 57 to 69, you're talking about 11 titles in 13 seasons. The countless list of Hall of Famers: Bill Russell, Sam Jones, John Havlicek, Satch Sanders, Tommy Heinsohn, Casey Jones, Bob Cousy, and of course, the great Red Auerbach. Those teams were dominant. They absolutely wiped the floor with the NBA. You had some great players during that time: Jerry West, Elgin Baylor, Will Chamberlain. None of them could hold the candle to the Boston Celtics dynasty. So it pains me to say this as a New Yorker, as someone who hates Boston and hates the Boston Celtics, but they are the greatest dynasty.
There was no salary cap back then, though. Otherwise, they could have kept Tommy Heinsohn.
Were there salaries back then?
Were they getting paid to play?
They were plumbers.
EJ, just a quick question. How many teams were in the NBA back then?
8.
Oh, they beat 8 teams. They beat 8 teams. How many are in the NBA right now? 30, I believe.
Real murderers row. All right, Pete, we're doing greatest dynasties of all time as part of our great debate series today.
Well, unfortunately, I had a really good first row seat for this dynasty, the late 90s Yankees. And this is a team that developed.
Cheated.
Well,
No.
They developed based on George Steinbrenner getting suspended. If George Steinbrenner didn't get suspended, this team would not be where it is. And Gene Michael was allowed to go in there and scout and draft and do what they needed to develop this team into a championship team. Made the trade for Paul O'Neill. And this team had a core of guys that were just gritty players and players that clicked and worked together. They weren't, as you could tell, there was maybe 1 or 2, I think there's 2 Hall of Famers on this team, Jeter, Mariano. And everybody else, good players, but not Hall of Famers. And they came
It's crazy that Bernie Williams.
I know.
That's
but
anyway.
All scouted by the Yankees and developed by this team. They were just unstoppable in the late 90s.
The Yankees are 1 out away from another World Championship. Now Rivera is set. And the 0-1 swung on, hit in the air to deep center. Bernie back, away back. He's there. He makes a catch. Ball game over. World Series over. Yankees win
The Yankees win.
And thanks to EJ for pulling the one against the Mets.
I didn't have fun doing that.
I saw in person.
Awful moment from the Mets. But this team had Joe Torre in his third run as a manager. Really, it was his last shot to get it right, and it clicked. And they rolled off a dynasty. And my choice is the Yankees.
There you go. We're talking about greatest dynasties of all time, kind of loosely based off the Chiefs and what's sitting in front of them this postseason. Bogish?
Well, Maggie, I know you're usually right in these things.
Yes.
Your choice is the best one. But I think mine's better. I'm going hockey. I'm going 1970s, the entire decade owned by the Montreal Canadiens.
The point. Starting out with Hull. Oral is tied up behind the net. Here's Richard going in on goal. He scores! Richard makes the shot. 9-0. The game is over. Montreal wins the Stanley Cup.
They were good. They had great French names like Henri Richard. They won 6 Stanley Cups, 71, 73, and then the four-peat of 76 through 79. There were 10 Hall of Famers on the team during that 4-year stretch. They set the single-season points record. They were 68-12 in the 76-77 season. Great players, Ken Dryden, Larry Robinson, the Montreal Canadiens of the 70s. Hockey's best dynasty, the best dynasty. That's not the Yankees.
Wow.
There you go. Andrew Bogish bringing hockey into the conversation, rightly so. All right, Perloff, you wanted to go last.
Yeah. Did he go by Maurice Richard? Henri. The Rocket was Maurice Richard.
Did I mess up his first name?
Well, you said Henri. I'm sure that's one of them.
Wrong French name.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Anyway, I just want to show off one hockey thing I do. If did everyone go, oh, Rocket Richard, the 70s Canadiens? Okay, all you guys are great, but let's face it, none of those are the Jordan Bulls. That is the only dynasty we all know. They didn't do it back in the day when there was 7 teams. They didn't do it, over a 25-year span to win these titles like Maggie's Patriots. They didn't do it in hockey, where they didn't even have helmets back then, so I don't even know what you're doing. They did it in the most competitive era of the NBA, the 90s, the superstar era of the NBA. There was one team, they won 6 out of 8, but they basically won 8 in a row in my mind. This is the ultimate modern dynasty. Did it when it was hard to win, unlike Bill Russell and the Celtics. They beat everybody, all comers, and they only won 6, but they easily could have won 8 to 10. Except that, and I don't want anyone to cry here, the general manager, Jerry Krause, screwed it up. So to me, that is by far the best dynasty because they were unbeatable. Unlike all your guys' dynasties who were sort of, pecking and just barely winning titles, the Bulls never even got to a Game 7 in the finals.
All right, so there you have it. Great debate series for today is the greatest dynasty of all time. And we're getting some good responses here in the chat. You're welcome to call us up at 855-212-4CBS. 855-212-4227.
Did we miss any big ones?
Okay, so yes, we did. But I think we all had our individual reasons for not picking these dynasties. And 2 of them, I think, are very much the same, even if they were in different eras. The John Wooden UCLA Bruins, 10 titles, obviously.
Yeah.
And then you have the UConn women's basketball team with 11 titles. I think the college was a little tough for us. I think, first of all, for Wooden, you get a couple advantages here. Free labor. You can cycle people in and out. You don't have to worry about free agency. You don't have to worry about salary caps. And once you sort of get going, you get all the best players.
Same thing with UConn.
Exactly.
Yep.
So I think it's tough maybe for college because there's so many built-in advantages for the winners. Whereas when I talk about the Patriots, there's disadvantages for the winners. You're playing a first place schedule. It becomes harder to keep that group together. Right. You're going to be losing assistant coaches. There's so many things I think that make it tougher to stay on top in professional sports than college sports.
Right. There's a draft. If there's a draft, you don't go from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to Bill Walton because the number 1 pick is going elsewhere. So once you get all the best players. Now, listen.
Maybe we're overthinking it.
Let's not disrespect what John Wooden did. Incredible because he won without those guys too. He won without the dominant big man. But still, it's college. And even more so with UConn. I mean, how many Hall of Fame players came through the doors there?
So that would be the two that I think people would have a problem with us. I do like this in the chat, though. YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio and Twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio. Spencer says the Harlem Globetrotters.
Yeah.
I mean, game, set, match.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, individuals, maybe there's some individual dynasties. Michael Phelps would be one.
I thought about Djokovic and Federer and Serena.
What about the fact that Bilotti picked the wrong Yankees dynasty? Does anyone have an issue with that?
I had to watch them in front of my face for my entire high school career. So,
But, I mean, Yogi Berra and Mickey Mantle, Yankees sort of jumps to mind, too, is another obvious one.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
There you go. So 855-212-4CBS. Those are a couple just off the top of the dome that.
And if I may defend my hockey brain too, there is an Henri Richard. It's Maurice's brother, and he was really good too. And
Was he Canadian?
And I think he is the Richard that scored in the highlight, which is why I said his name, I think.
I mean, if you have
But
like
there are two.
4 tidbits of knowledge of hockey and you have the opportunity to try and share one, you got to go for it in my case.
Do you know what?
I could be wrong.
He's the Thanasis on a Kupo.
No. Do you know what Henri's nickname was since his brother Maurice was the Rocket?
The Hammer.
The booster. I don't know.
The Pocket Rocket.
Get out of
No,
here.
he wasn't.
100%.
Wait a minute.
That is, that's also a name
in
of
the
a
70s. That's what you.
infamous,
That's all
something
you got.
I'm changing my thing. I'm Montreal for me.
Come on in. Come on over.
You didn't mention Patrick Roy.
He's not on this team. He will make an appearance this morning, though. I can tell you that.
Wait, Patrick Roy is
He's going to find his way into an update this morning.
Patrick Roy never played for the Canadian City. No. Or
Not
did
in the
he?
70s.
He was a kid then.
I'm
probably.
sorry, I can't get past Pocket Rocket. That is a term that had to be born in the 70s, right?
I guess so.
We
Commercials on Wood TV.
We really phased out Pocket Rocket, didn't we? Probably better.
Oh, yeah, no, Patrick Roy was a great Canadian. But you had Larry Robinson. Was he on?
These are the 70 Canadians. Waugh was a rookie, I think, in 86. They're not. It's two different
All
groups
right,
of Canadians.
Mark, you're out of your depth here.
I definitely am, but I topped you with Maurice. Bogus gained respect for me there. I could tell.
He didn't. 855-212-4CBS. 855-212-4227. All right, there you have it. Great debate series for today. Greatest dynasty ever. I went with the Patriots. Perloff went with the Chicago Bulls. EJ went with the 60s Celtics. Pete went with the 90s into 2000 Yankees. And Bogish went with the 70s Canadiens. Who'd we miss? What'd we get right? What would we get wrong? 855-212-4CBS. It's Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Great Debate Wednesday here on the Maggie and Perloff Show. Today's topic, greatest sports dynasty of all time. Got onto that because the Kansas City Chiefs seem like they're a modern dynasty, building a modern dynasty. Here's what everyone has. I'll just run through it. Maggie went with the 2000s Patriots. I went with the 90s Bulls. EJ went with the 50s and 60s Celtics. Andrew Bogish went with 70s Canadians. And Pete Bellotti went with the 90s Yankees. You can go at Maggie and Pearl on Twitter/X. And let us know who you would pick or give us a call, 855-212-4CBS. I got to tell you.
Yes.
I'm a little nervous about we skew modern sometimes. I do feel a little guilty about the UCLA. That's been on my mind since we did this topic because that's a lot of championships in a row.
No, it is 10. I mean, 10 titles for John Wooden. Yeah. And same with UConn with Gino Auriemma with the 11 titles. I think the issue was about college versus pro and the advantages that get built in for college versus pro when you are building these dynasties.
And the size of the tournament back then was a lot smaller.
For Wooden, yes. 855-212-4CBS. Let's hit the phones. Dana is in Concord, California. Hey, Dana, what's up?
I love the program. Maggie, first of all, I think you'd be the most amazing and interesting dinner date ever.
I am.
But
that's nice.
I wanted to mention here in Concord, we have a high school called De La Salle.
Yep.
From 1992 to 2004, they won 151 straight games and won 14 straight state championships. They never lost. They were immortalized in the film The Game Stands Tall and the book The Game Stands Tall. Their coach, Bob Ladouceur, was the coach for the entire streak. It's now referred to as the streak, and it's the longest winning streak in sports history. So I think it's pretty hard to top the kids at De La Salle.
Yeah, you know what? Want to know what's funny, Dana? I actually got a chance to be with the kids from De La Salle High School. This is random. I used to be a high school sports reporter when I was first starting out, and high school sports in the New York, New Jersey area. is robust, obviously, just like it is in California and Florida and Georgia and everywhere. But De La Salle High School flew to New Jersey to face Don Bosco High School, Tommy DeVito's high school, but he wasn't the quarterback at the time. And I got to spend a day with De La Salle High School going all around New York City. Perloff, we did the Circle Line together, which is the tour around the island.
Any star players on that team, on that version of the team?
I got to go back and look, but no, this was Amani Toomer went there. I know that. There were a lot of other prominent De La Salle.
We had in my area, not quite my area, Pennsylvania had Central Bucks East. You probably don't remember this. They had a 60-game win streak, which was at the time the longest. Then De La Salle blew them out of the water. I love these high school, Maslin High School in Ohio. To me, like that's a great. The high school rivalries have a certain charm to them.
No doubt.
That's really cool.
Adam is in Vancouver. We're talking about the greatest dynasties of all time. Adam, what's up?
Hey, good morning, guys. How are you today?
We're doing great. What's going on?
Good. So, Bogish, I know you brought up some hockey there with the Canadians in the 70s, but I got to go with the 80s and two dynasties, actually. The Islanders first, and then the Edmonton Oilers. Follow right to close out the decade.
Listen, Adam, I'm with you on that. The Islanders, Bogish is going to come in to defend his work here with the 80s, and then obviously with the Oilers, with Messier and with Gretzky. Why did you decide to go with the Canadiens, Bogish?
Well, they outlasted.
Yes.
If you count the two early ones, I guess people do separate the 76 through 79 four-peat, but to win 71, 73, and then those four, so that's two more than the Islanders.
Yep.
The Oilers won. They did come back after the Islanders, and they won more Stanley Cups, one or two without Gretzky.
Yep.
So just the Canadians were more succinct to me, and equal collection of great players, especially in Montreal and Edmonton. But I thought for a decade straight of one head coach, mostly with Scotty Bowman, a lot of the same players, that the longevity won the tiebreaker.
Adam, does that pass the smell test for you?
It does to an extent, but Bogish, I'll throw this one at you. I think in the 80s, that's when they had to win 16 games. They had to win four 7-game series. I don't know if it was that way in the 70s.
Maybe not at the beginning, but I think by 78, 79, the playoffs were that big. But you could be right. I can double check that.
Thank you so much for the phone call. Appreciate you weighing in. Bogish, appreciate you weighing in as well. Adrian is in Maryland. Hey, Adrian, what's going on, dude?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. Hey, the only problem I have with UCLA and UConn is UCLA, there was only 32 teams in that era. And then UConn, there was probably, 3-4 teams in the women's basketball that couldn't win it that year. So
the
I have
parity
a
wasn't
problem
there,
with that.
is what we're saying.
Right. You look at the games now. You got girls beating other girls 129-18 and stuff like that. That's ridiculous.
Well, Adrian, and I'll go a step forward here, which is also one of the reasons. Do you guys remember we were talking a lot when Belichick and Saban both had their coaching news based on back-to-back days, and it was like which one of these was, I forgot how we put it, like harder to replicate or whatever. You know, Saban went into so many of his games as a 2-touchdown favorite, 3 in a lot of cases. I mean, some of those Alabama spreads were insane, whereas for Belichick and for the NFL, it's just so much closer in terms of the talent being spread around. So that's where I feel like pro always gets the nod over college to me when you're talking about these things.
Well, you think about women's basketball. You had Tennessee, too. You had La Tech. Like, it's a sport of dynasties. I think that's a great point.
Although we could have put Saban's Alabama dynasty here, too.
Kind of took too long.
If you Google the greatest sports dynasties, a lot of them include Saban and Alabama.
Really?
Yeah.
Even though it went from 09 to 20?
Like the first 2 or 3 lists I found yesterday to jog my memory, he was on at least 2 of them.
Adrian, you got another one for us. What do you got?
Yeah. I got the San Francisco Giants, 2010, 2012, and 2014. I think baseball is the hardest sport to win a championship, multiple championships, because there's so many games and everything just basically has to fall in place for you.
Yeah. So I think that, Adrian, that's a good one. It's controversial, though. I know a lot of people, and I think, Perloff, you might be one of them, that doesn't consider that a dynasty because you never won back-to-back.
Not only that, it was sort of this is going to sound bad. It was an above-average, really good team who just was on top of their game in the postseason. And Madison Bumgarner was such an amazing postseason pitcher. It didn't feel like they were the 1950s Yankees where they just had a Hall of Fame lineup. I just think they were a team that could win a big game. I don't think of them as the same kind of dynasty. It is incredibly impressive. I agree with that. But yeah, you have to go back to back. I agree with Bogus's point. It's got the more concentrated, the better.
Yeah, that's the one thing I always get into with people, because I think that San Francisco is a dynasty. I do consider that a dynasty, but a lot of people will say if you don't go back to back, if you didn't defend the title, which is, if you talk to athletes, they say that can be one of the hardest things to do, is defend the title.
But if you look at how many games they won in the regular season, that doesn't feel like a dynasty. I don't have it in front of me, but I assume there were 92, 93 win teams, whereas the great Yankees teams won 100 every time.
What about the Warriors?
What about the Spurs?
No, the Spurs were so spread out. 99, 2004, 2007, 2014. Maybe I'm missing one. But
yeah, but I mean, still, it's Popovich, it's Duncan, a
is
lot
that
of Tony Parker and
dynasty
Manu.
If you win 4 titles in 14 years?
Well, they never went back to back, which is why they came to my head when Maggie just said that.
Yeah. That doesn't, and that's my problem with your Patriots choice. It took too long.
Yeah, but they went back to back.
They're
the last team to go back to back.
Yeah, I'm just saying you're pointing to a dynasty of a 20-year period.
Well, I think why the Patriots is so impressive is it's got an early, a middle, and a late. Yeah. And no matter what was happening with the Super Bowls in that time, they were dominating the division. They never had a drop-off, winning seasons every year except for Brady's first year, right, which was more like a Drew Bledsoe. You know, he was just on the roster. They're amazing. There was never a tail off.
Counter. They lost to Eli Manning twice.
They lost to that defensive line.
The Spurs won at one point 4 titles between 99 and 06.
It's concentrated. I think that's concentrated enough. But a lot of people think you have to go back to back.
Right.
855-212-4CBS. Quickly, before we get to Bogus's update, we go to Andrea, who's in Berkeley, California. Andrea, it's so good to hear from you. You used to call when I was on CBS Sports Radio many, many years ago on Saturday mornings, and you would do astrology for some of the big athletes in the news. How have you been?
Yeah, no, it's great to hear your voice again. I remember the Moose and Maggie show and calling in and doing sports astrology. So I'm so glad we reconnected.
It's in the stars. What do you have for us today?
Yeah, well, I'm in the Bay Area. I'm in Berkeley, so the 49ers and Brock Purdy's sports astrology is quite interesting. He recently had his birthday, December 27, 1999. And he's a really hardworking, ambitious Capricorn. And I'll tell you, the worst thing you can do to a Capricorn is call them Mr. Irrelevant. They're so super ambitious and systematic and dependable and methodical and, ambitious. Mm-hmm. So he really has those qualities. And right now, Mars is in Capricorn, which is a crucial planet for an athlete, rules energy, assertion, aggression. So Mars and Capricorn, you might remember, they won on that final drive.
Yep.
That was kind of a nail-biter, and Mars and Capricorn came through. So Mars is still in Capricorn for the game on Sunday, and we have Mercury and Venus there. So this is a very confident time when he can achieve his goals. So I'm liking that. He can be more purposeful and steady and, work towards those Capricorn goals. So I really look forward to that. And, I'm looking at Jared Goff. I mean, I'm in Berkeley. I remember when he was the Cal quarterback.
Sure.
And he's having his Saturn return. He's 29. So that's interesting, to see what transpires in his chart, October 14, 1994, Novato, California. So
his Saturn is returning. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Yeah, it happens between the ages of 28 and 30 for everyone.
Okay.
So 29 is the actual Saturn return, and everyone has that at that age, and that's a cycle of new beginnings. And he left, the Rams. So it's new beginnings. People get really serious about their career ambitions, relationships, living situations change.
Yeah.
So it's a very big rite of passage, the Saturn return.
That's great. Andrea, thank you so much for shedding some light onto this. That's when I had my first nervous breakdown. Thank you, Andrea. I love Andrea. She does a great job. I wonder sometimes, it sounds, when she describes it this way, it makes so much sense, right?
Yeah.
Like somebody's personality and what their astrological sign is. Do you think teams use this at all in their evaluation?
Probably not, but I'll tell you right now, I am on DraftKings right now, -7 Niners. I didn't know that Mars was in Capricorn right now.
Me neither. It sneaks up on you.
Honestly, it kind of just described Brock Purdy. He's a little guy, but he's ambitious. I think that made me feel good about the Niners.
Bogish, your Saturn is returning, and we are going to you for an update.
I felt it. I don't know how he'd handle Sweet Caroline, but Rams D tackle Kobe Turner is pretty good at the national anthem. Pretty good. The rookie's singing before a recent LA Kings game. He has a musical background, obviously, so much so his teammates call him the conductor.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a
Might win Rookie of the Year.
That's a good nickname.
He's
Good nickname, good sing.
Head-to-head battle with Will Anderson and him for Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
That'd be a good duo. That guy's
I think you say
amazing.
head-to-head battle with him and Flavor Flav on the national anthem.
Well, this could be the tiebreaker.
That's interesting. I love big men. He's gigantic, right?
Yes.
That can sing. That's always a good visual.
Well, it's like DeMarcus Ware, right, who sang the national anthem before he got inducted into
Right.
Canton.
Yeah, but DeMarcus Ware weighs 50 pounds less than...
He's still a big person.
This guy is like a house. I'm into this. I think he should sing at the Super Bowl instead of Reba McEntire.
Well, I think we should go like beauty pageant, him and Will Anderson, get up there, answer some questions,
Oh, yeah.
show us your skill, and sing.
Yeah.
Do some kind of performance.
Rhythmic
Whatever.
gymnastics like old school.
Yeah, something like that. Put him in a wrestling singlet. See what happens.
See how they would solve world
Exactly.
peace or whatever?
By the way,
What would you do in Ukraine?
We just passed the 21st anniversary of Carl Lewis's national anthem. The Ruh-roh. Still the greatest sound ever. I would never sing a national anthem because the odds of it going wrong are much stronger than the odds of it sounding that good, right?
Well, not if you're a professional singer. You think you got a handle on it.
But you're Carl Lewis or Kobe Turner. I mean, he's not a professional, singer.
I think it's the, there's always like the singers want to be athletes. You always want to be what you're not,
Right.
If you're, I think, especially people who are super talented, they probably have a lot of talents. So they think they have tons and tons of talents and they go for it.
Can I ask you, EJ, you're a big rap fan. Are there any good athlete rappers? Like, I know Darren Waller has an album coming out this offseason. Are any of these guys like legit artists?
In terms of rap?
Yeah, athlete
Dame
turned
Lillard,
rapper.
Dame Lillard, I know I was killing him earlier, but he can rap. He's legit.
Like if he wasn't Dame Lillard, would he be selling records? Is he that good?
I think he's that good. Yeah, and I'm someone who I'm as hardcore as it gets when it comes to hip hop fans. And I mean, I don't know if I would say he would be like one of my favorites, but could he have a hip hop rap career? 100%. He's been on songs with Rick Ross, Meek Mill. Like he's legit.
We did this once with Ice Cube. We had him listen to a bunch of athletes rapping, but we didn't tell him who was who.
Ooh.
And then we just had him give his honest critique. And his favorite one was like some bars from Kevin Durant randomly, who was small, like
Oh,
a small
wow.
appearance.
Yeah, it wasn't Shaq.
No, I don't know if we played Shaq for him. It's too obvious.
Shaq, you're right.
Proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming.
He had that falsetto thing. Flavor Flav.
In actual football news, we are waiting on a second meeting between Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers. NFL Network says they are within striking distance of an agreement. New Raiders head coach Antonio Pierce needs a coaching staff. He's expected to meet with former Bears OC Luke Getsy and former Browns OC Alex Van Pelt for that same job.
Is that a dad joke, by the way? The Chargers are within striking distance of hiring.
That's a
lightning
Mike
bolt strike.
Garofalo dad joke. Those are his words,
Yeah,
apparently.
yeah. If I had said that, Maggie would have killed me right there. They're in striking distance.
I would have said you've been waiting for that one.
Yeah,
you planned it and you were waiting to unleash it.
No, mine was more plagiarism than anything else.
Good job.
The update.
LeBron didn't play with left ankle pain, but it probably wouldn't have mattered. The Clippers just better than his Lakers.
Rebounded by number 1. And number 1 finds number 3. Number 3 is coming up strong with the layup, and the points go to the Lady Tigers. Our score is now 101-10.
Clippers radio is taking a turn since Noah Eagle left.
Get the night off.
LA beat LA last night, 127-116. Kawhi Leonard posting a triple-double, 25 points, 11 boards, and 10 assists. The Clips have now won 11 of 13. Nicola,
the mechanics of her broadcast actually aren't bad, besides the fact she didn't know the names of the players. But that might not be her fault.
That's a big but.
But she might not have had that information, it seems like. But she did the right thing. The play-by-play was smooth, and then she recapped the score.
Well,
Technically, Bogus, you do this for a living.
Oh, I'm excited for her to have a bigger job than me by probably next Wednesday. That's the way things seem to go. Yeah, she's not doing WNBA games. I would disagree with everything you just said. I don't think that there's anything okay
redeemable
about that call, but at XA Plus, I think it was a Grambling basket, and she's the Grambling announcer, so she should definitely know the Grambling last name.
Well, that's like NFL coaches. The great coaches always refer to the numbers. I think it's a way to demean the players slightly. But
she's just pulling a Belichick.
Yeah, Belichick's like, we got to cover 14. She's basically being Belichick.
I mean, I know it's Grambling, but I remember I tried to do Hunter College basketball Division III when I was at Hunter College. And I'll tell you what, having non-household names on all 12 man rosters for both teams, I'll give her a little pass.
Not Bogus.
But you did this in what year?
This is my senior year.
Right. So, there was the internet. You could have known the roster. Your job is to memorize them before you get there.
Oh, I tried. It's but I don't know. I guess maybe because I don't know. Maybe she might have been a big fan of basketball. When your brain is if you told me to call an NBA game, I'd know every player. But when you're calling your college, when it's Grambling women's basketball, this
is what the dirty trick of this, or I don't know what Bogus's method is here. This used to be my method when I did play-by-play in college, was during the layup lines. You're just going through and doing and calling their names out.
Good tip.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a game tonight. I've never seen Loyola Chicago women's basketball before, but I now know who their roster is. And if it's 100-12, I'm not going to be going number 1 to number 3. The first 2 minutes of the game, I take an extra second to remember who's who. But by the fourth quarter, we're all best friends. I'm not going, that girl just passed it to Blondie, who threw it to the short girl.
They also were scoring all the points. I mean, you probably only need to know Grambling, to be honest.
We'll get the Bogus biography if that game
I was
goes
going to say,
on.
with that much of a lead, you really shouldn't be doing the play-by-play at that point. You got to be basically tap dancing out there.
What's the audience size for a broadcast like that? You guys would know. I mean, I'm sorry, I can't imagine 100 colleges getting thousands on air for the radio.
This is the tough part about it, because I used to do GW, and it's not like the broad
But they're a major program.
Well, but you're doing the student broadcast, so they were actually on terrestrial radio. So I don't know.
Oh, it's kind of like Bogus with Fordham, right? There's a student broadcast, and you're doing the
they're actually on terrestrial radio, though, also, right? So the thing is, it's not a big audience, but everyone who's watching really knows what's going on, because it's a lot of family members. Yeah. Right. So if you get stuff wrong, or if you're critical, it's a very small audience, but a robust one.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and my biggest issue always was, unfortunately, for women's games, which are, again, unfortunately, usually smaller attendance, and you're sitting courtside.
Everyone can hear you.
Everyone can hear you.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I had, these are two.
You're kidding me. You have to worry about the actual coaches and players hearing your stuff?
It's so much louder sometimes than the arena, yes.
So I'll give you 2 examples. There was one high school game we were doing, and I had a partner who was an older gentleman, and he was speaking like an old man, very sexist about men's and women's games comparison, while these high school girls were shooting free throws, and 2 of them actually turned from the lane and looked at him, talking about how differently athletically women's basketball was. And then another time we were on the air. Yeah, it was not fun. It was not fun to have to address his comments, but then for them to hear them on the floor sucked. Another time we were doing a game, internet only, we could not go to commercial, and a girl got hurt, tore her ACL driving to the rim. She's on the floor screaming, asking for her mother in an empty gym.
Oh, no.
So it's going over the air while we're talking about not that, and we can't go anywhere. We can't go, we'll be back in a second, and like we had to stay on the air and
What did you talk
over
about?
her. I don't even remember anymore. And try to block it out.
Did you pull like a Tony Romo gymnast? So, man, I was stuck in the hotel room. I had to go to ground round the other night. Give me my mommy.
Wait, did you see the thing that happened apparently this week where a girl's at the free throw line at a high school game and one of the dads, presumably in the stands, as she's about to shoot, goes, "You suck." And all the parents are like, "No."
Yeah. Yep, I heard that. That's great. We're in a good place.
You suck.
Yeah.
Not even miss it.
Yeah.
Miss it is bad enough, but not you suck.
This
in high school.
This is basketball. You suck is not the worst thing.
Yeah, all right,
No. A
Philadelphia.
dad yelling at a little girl sucks. At a little kid, for sure. You want to yell like box out or something like that? Like that's the trick.
How little was the girl?
They were
High school.
Yeah.
High school?
That's not a little kid.
Yes, it is.
I agree
That
with
you
Perloff.
suck? You think?
I think
I
high
agree
school,
with
this
Perloff.
isn't a 10-year-old league. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, would I judge the guy who did it? Yeah, he seems like a jerk, but I mean,
If that was my daughter, that guy would be unconscious.
Yeah, we'd be fighting.
Yeah, but you got to use any tool you can to win a high school basketball game. Get in her head. Use
Was it a
thunder
playoff
sticks.
game?
Yeah.
oh my God, the chance that they would have at our high school games for the other team, I mean, just
Yeah, but that's okay.
everybody would be fighting.
Right, not the parents.
Oh, that's what the parents would be saying at these games. Again, people would be fighting. I mean, I don't know. I not guilty. I'm
The
sorry.
worst. The parents are the worst.
I know. We ruin everything. Us parents.
Horrible.
Oof. EJ, this is the wrong side of this battle to pick, man. It's a
I
quiet
mean, I'm also
gym.
not-
This
I'm
guy
also not
yells,
a pa-
"You suck" at a 15-year-old girl.
No,
You're
I'm
going,
not saying that
I can
you
see
should
his
do
point.
it. I'm saying that this is, I don't know. I feel like when you play in high school basketball, like you get these terrible environments.
Yeah, I think
They're
honestly,
awful. High school
like
football's the same way.
You're saying if it's a men's game, it's basically what I'm hearing
No,
is
I'm
if it's
saying
a men's game, it's fine.
That's
If
what
it's
I'm
a
hearing
girls'
too.
game,
No.
that's kind of what
No,
the
we're
message
saying if
is.
it's the
No.
parents, it's not
Yeah.
fine.
Oh yeah, are you kidding me? Go to a men's high school basketball game, is all bets are off. You're cursing out the ref. Like parents
Yeah,
are totally getting it.
yeah.
Again,
come on,
even
yeah.
cursing out the ref, which I do not condone as a former referee and former official, but you don't tell the other kid they suck.
If it was
I
a
need to-
men's game, no, you wouldn't even blink at
I need
that.
to take you guys to Archbishop Malloy Holy
yeah.
Cross
No,
game on a
guys,
Friday
guys,
night.
Go to a Duke basketball game and look at the posters. I
Guys,
mean,
I
these
get
people
it.
are cruel.
That's college.
I was on the bench in high school games in New York City at LaSalle and St. Raymond's and Rice. I know
Yeah.
what happens. This is a quiet gym, and an adult yells clear as day so everyone can hear "you suck" at a sub 18-year-old kid, girl or boy. It's a crappy thing to do. That's all we're saying. No one's putting him in jail or anything like that, but he shouldn't do that. The student section wants to taunt somebody, that's fine. He's an adult yelling at a kid that she sucks.
Also, it's not even clever.
That too.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227.
You suck, bogus.
You suck. Drive to Texas by yourself.
All right, lots more coming up, including more of your nominees. Our great debate question today, the greatest dynasty of all time. Coming up, a shocking surprise in the NFL. We'll get to that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Perloff, I don't know if you saw this, but Jeremy Fowler of ESPN is reporting that there are weird vibes going on with the Eagles coaching staff. There's some weird vibes out there. This is the quote. I don't know that everybody on the staff is happy and everything that's gone down, especially with Brian Johnson, who was sort of caught in the middle. That's your offensive coordinator who got dismissed. And now it looks like Cliff Kingsbury could be your next offensive coordinator in Philly. How do you feel about that?
Well, first of all, you lose 5 or 6 games. There better be weird vibes because I would not be happy with that. Yeah, it seems like the Sean... You guys are actually on top of it. When they fired Sean Desire, put him up in the booth and made Matt Patricia the defensive coordinator, you gave me a sideways look like my season was over. Turns out you were right. So I think when that happened, Nick Sirianni lost all his power because that seemed like it was a front office move. So now you have Howie Roseman in a weird spot. I'm fine with Cliff Kingsbury. I'd prefer Eric Bieniemy, but I'll take Kingsbury, and I really am worried about defensive coordinator. Kingsbury's a good play caller. He just wasn't a good head coach. Most people, he gets so He gets killed because of the way it ended in Arizona. That dude won 11 games in Arizona. Doesn't he get some credit for that,
Okay,
Maggie?
but that was early. Then what happened?
Well, it's the Arizona Cardinals. They're not a good team. They had a terrible GM at the time, Steve Keim. So Cliff, he can design a game plan. That's better. Brian Johnson was doing nothing. They were the most predictable offense ever.
If it's Cliff Kingsbury, it's probably running a little bit more. I mean, if he was, because
Yeah.
Kyler runs a lot and you didn't like that Jalen Hurts kind of stopped running.
Oh, I love it. That's a good point.
Greg's in San Francisco, wants to talk about Brock Purdy as we are closing in on the NFC Championship game, Purdy versus Goff. Hey, Greg, how are you?
Good. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. What's up?
I'm just curious. Like, they've never, ever in all my life, ever heard of a judgment of the quarterback on his.
Greg, we're
need something to talk about. They need people on their shows. They need a different narrative, and this comes up. Can you remember one time they've judged a quarterback by that?
Sorry, say it again. You
missed
cut
you for a
out
second.
for a second. We judge a quarterback by what? Where he is drafted?
By having too many weapons. They've
By
never-
having too many weapons.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's never come up in football that I know.
Tua,
I haven't fallen in the-
a lot of people think Tua is just a product of having Tyreek Hill there.
Yeah, it's just made up narrative.
Greg, thank you so much for the call. You asked for one. Perloff gave it to you. I think this is where it's not that people aren't, or people like me, if you want to say it, only critical when you're saying Brock Purdy is the MVP because you have so many weapons. How do you delineate who actually is the most valuable there? Why does it immediately go to the quarterback just because this is generally a quarterback award? I'm seeing things out there like this question. If Deebo Samuel can't play,
Yeah,
how much does that hurt the 49ers' ability to win this game?
tremendously.
Right. So when we're talking about,
Yeah, but he's
we're
the
not
number one
knocking
receiver,
the
but-
quarterback. We're actually just praising the other weapons on the team.
But that always happens. Any quarterback's number one receiver goes down. If Stephon Diggs went down, that would hurt the Bills' ability. So I do think that's maybe we go overboard. I think you're right. I think it's a draft status. If Brock Purdy was like Baker Mayfield and was the number one overall pick, we'd view him differently. People don't want to admit, whoever doesn't want to admit that they were all wrong about Brock Purdy in the draft, all the experts.
The draft Knicks. Here's the thing, though. When it's Mr. Irrelevant, it's not like, it was the third round, it was the fourth round. I think everyone admits you were wrong, just like everyone admits they're wrong about Brady.
But you still view him differently in your head. You can't help it. I mean, Baker Mayfield and Brock Purdy are the same size, and we still view them as completely different people.
I think it's product of the system. If Baker Mayfield had been drafted and got to go to San Francisco and play with this team, what do you think he's like?
Oh, God, that would be so fun. I have no idea.
855-212-4CBS. One team just sounds delusional. We'll tell you who it is next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She was the Heisman Trophy winner in 1986. He left her off the ballot. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
The debates are raging here on the air, behind the scenes. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. It is Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio. When we get into these great debate Wednesdays, sometimes even when we go to break, we're still talking about these things. So today, the great debate question is the greatest dynasty of all time. It's sort of loosely based off the Chiefs, who, if they beat the Ravens, if they go on to win the Super Bowl, we have to be talking about them as the next NFL dynasty.
Yeah, I mean, dynasties are so much harder these days because of the salary cap. And we talked a lot about, we all had our choices. Nobody yet has mentioned the 1970s Steelers.
Okay, well, first let's go through who we picked.
Okay.
So I picked the Patriots of the 2000s for the length of the dominance. Perloff picked the Chicago Bulls. I'll
Jordan
speak for
Bulls,
you.
90s.
EJ went with the 50s and 60s Celtics. I'm just going to go around the horn here.
Right.
Pete went with the Yankees of the 90s and early 2000s, as painful as that is. And Andrew Bogish picked the Canadiens of the 1970s. So a couple that we left off, but yes.
Well, I think the 70s Steelers, a team like that, to be a dynasty, you have to inspire fear around the league. And the Steelers, you know, the Steel Curtain and Joe Green and Terry Bradshaw, that was a dynasty in the sense of dominance, cultural dominance too, whereas the Patriots were they were a very good team, but they were not. They could find a way. They were more a find a way to win team. To me, they weren't. We're going to come in there. And we're going to blow you out and beat you up. To me, the Steelers were, in a way, a more impressive dynasty.
Oh, I totally disagree. I think the boogeyman of Belichick inspired more paranoia and fear from other teams, like couldn't leave playbooks around, thinking that the locker rooms may have been bugged. It wasn't just beating you on the field. It was the knowledge that on the other side you have Tom Brady. Like on the other side, whether he's down, there is nobody even still. And I think this will stand the test of time, even with Mahomes as great as he is. Any football fan, if you ask them, who do you want ball in their hands to go score a touchdown for your life? It's Tom Brady. For your life, it's Tom Brady.
Yeah, but he lost close games.
But everyone loses close games. I'm talking about that type of, you're saying that the Patriots weren't feared. But I completely disagree with you.
You were terrified to go into Pittsburgh. The Patriots, you're afraid that they're going to find some rule caveat that they're going to bleed the clock because of something, or they're going to have some double tight end scheme that you're not going to be able to figure out until the third quarter. They were sort of winning at the margins. They were not some unbeatable juggernaut, except for the one year they didn't win the Super Bowl. They were coming into your house and just absolutely intimidating you. They were finding ways to win. The Steel Curtain and Pittsburgh, that was dominant.
Well, I think that's a little disrespectful to some of the Patriots defenders who I think were pretty ferocious dudes. I mean, you're talking about Rodney Harrison, Richard
the Steelers
Seymour,
defense was
and Vince Wilfork. These guys were nasty, man.
Yeah, but I mean, they definitely weren't the Steelers with James Harrison, and they weren't the Ravens with Ray Lewis.
And I mean, to Perloff's point, if I'm thinking about the great defensive players of that era, I'm never thinking about a Patriot player.
No, because the Patriots were all
But are you thinking about Belichick?
Team, yes. Coach, yes.
So that's part of my reason also why I think this is the number one dynasty that we have in sports is because you win with a ferocious play. What happens? That goes away at some point. How the Patriots did this for 20 years is because that's how you have to win. You're out thinking, out scheming. And Belichick never has one style. He prepares every game, could have a totally different game plan. It's not Legion of Boom that was playing the same, the same type of defensive scheme and like go ahead and try to beat us. He was game plan specific, and I'm not trying to simplify the Seahawks, but he was game plan specific, and he would always take away your best option. It's just so much more sustainable.
Right. That seems like he almost like outsmarted his way to the title. That's not with dynasty. When I think of great dynasties, and we're talking about the Yankees and the Celtics of the 60s, the Celtics were actually close to the Patriots, but I think you have to have some big fear factor where, to me, the Patriots did not have that. The Steel Curtain and what the Pittsburgh Steelers did in the 70s, I mean, they defined dynasty in so many ways. They were the face of the sport. And they're still famous because of it. And it's 50 years ago. People, you see the highlights or the NFL films of Lynn Swann catching the ball. There's just something magical about that dynasty where the Patriots don't quite have that. For some reason, maybe it's the cheating. Maybe it's because Belichick was unapproachable. Maybe it's they won with so many different styles. It just doesn't feel like, was there every year that they won, I mean, it felt like it could have gone either way.
Yeah, I mean, because they played close Super Bowls. I mean, they won them. You go to 9 Super Bowls, you win 6 of them. I know the Steelers also have 6, but I just think you're talking about from 2000, 2019, in that salary cap era, in this professional sports era, to keep a head coach and a quarterback together for that long. Like, it just doesn't happen nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, that's not exactly like intimidating. Yeah, you were able to manage the salary cap. We're talking like walk into the stadium and this team is just going to beat you. Because Michael Jordan never got to a Game 7 of the finals. He was standing there on the side of the court and the other team was terrified.
He lost series. It's not like
early.
Okay, but what's the Patriot way?
Patriot way is we're going to be sustained success, but not the Patriot way is that we're going to come into your stadium and leave you bloody.
I think the Patriot way is our intimidation comes from the fact that we're going to be more prepared than you, that we are going to have a better end game strategy than you.
Exactly.
I mean, okay, but at the same time, they also did have guys who were ferocious. Yeah, maybe not James Harrison, but Teddy Bruschi. I mean, these guys, Mike Vrabel, these guys were good, tough players. Tell Mike Vrabel he wasn't tough.
I mean, listen, if you're an athlete, there's nothing scarier than when a guy gets off the bus and says, I'm going to be more prepared than you. That is the opposite of what I'm talking about.
Then point to scoreboard. Like, the Patriots beat you all those ways. And believe me, I was, as a fan of the Bills, I was on the other end of a lot of butt kickings.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more of style-wise. If I had to pick a dynasty, I want the big characters. I want Mean Joe Green. I want Mel Blount. I want Terry Bradshaw throwing bombs to John Stallworth. To me, that's a little more fun. The Patriots are more just like, we are super efficient and well-prepared.
I think you're simplifying it to not.
That's why they're closer to the Spurs. To me, like the San Antonio Spurs is like, well, we're just a really well-coached, disciplined team, and we're going to have a bunch of Tim Duncan bank shots in the fourth quarter to beat you. That is not like Michael Jordan's going to come into that stadium and dunk on your head and be this great, entertaining player. That's what I want out of my dynasties.
Okay, but the one thing where I stopped short with your Bulls dynasty, and it's a great dynasty, but you basically give them 8.
Yeah.
They don't have 8. They have 6.
I was there, Maggie. They won 8.
Yeah, right. And somehow with Michael Jordan playing minor league baseball in Alabama, they got 8.
I read a few articles preparing for this, and they talk about this Bulls dynasty, and every one of them says they would have won those 2 if Jordan had stayed. And Jordan was there for half of the second one, too. So I'm being kind of tongue-in-cheek. But
I like this from Bucky
they
Cheese
still were great.
in youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, pardon me. He says the Patriots are like a Mercedes and the Steelers were like an off-road Jeep. So the Steelers are the 70s.
No. See, I think the Patriots were like a Hyundai. They were a quality car, highly efficient, smart, precise. They weren't a Mercedes. They weren't fancy. They just went in there and found a way to beat you.
Well, I mean, Brady did have some golden boy sort of. There was some, not flash with Brady, but there's definitely some. I mean, he's married to a beautiful woman.
Yeah.
He is this handsome guy. Like, there was a little golden boy.
There's some Hollywood to him.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair to him, he always kept that chip on his shoulder of the 6th-round pick. But, he has, like, the good looks. I mean, there was a lot of that with Brady.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I know the Patriots dynasty is just very different to me. If Patrick Mahomes wins 6 in a row. Yeah.
But to me, when I think in Perloff talking about the preparation, and that's a nice way to put it, I'm thinking about the cheating. Like, at what point does
it's not far off than what we're talking about.
Right. Like, at what point, like, to me, when we talk about fear factor going to the Patriots, I'm worried about, did they bug my my headset? Are they videotaping the sidelines? Like, what are they doing to get an edge? And that, to me, that takes a little edge off of their case for being the best dynasty.
Well, then I can look at a lot of dynasties and point to, teams not doing everything by the book, and you could allege that's cheating.
Yeah, you had Red Auerbach Celtics. They would bend the rules.
How about not the turning off the heat, trying to get, I know it's a little different, but trying to get this crazy home field advantage. Nobody ever wanted to play in Boston ever because of the shenanigans that would go on with the Celtics. We can talk about the Yankees of the 90s. Let's go back and do some P-tests on some of those guys. I mean, it wasn't against the rules then. It was later. But still, do we think guys weren't getting an advantage? I mean, I don't know about the Jordan Bulls. I don't know how they were cheating, but I'm sure there was a way.
No, they didn't need to because they were the true dynasty and they were just more awesome than everybody. One more thing, and EJ hinted it, the Patriots did not have great players. That's the other thing you need. They did not have a lot of Hall of Famers. They had Tom Brady and a cast of characters. These other dynasties, how many, say the 70s Steelers, there were probably a dozen Hall of Famers there. Even the 70s Cowboys, the Lakers from the 80s. I mean, who are the Hall of Famers on the Patriots?
Okay,
maybe 2 or 3.
I could make a case that makes it even better because instead of having to rely on just your stars, you had your star in your head coach, your star in your quarterback, and then because the cast of characters changed around it so much, it's almost more impressive.
It's impressive, but it's not when you think a dynasty with a capital D, that's not my style of dynasty. To just rotate in role players and have guys like Matthew Slater be great at special teams. I want you to just come out and be the best every year, and everyone knows it, and you're just going to intimidate everybody.
What's the most important position in sports?
Quarterback.
They had the greatest at that. And what head coach, what type of coach do you think is most responsible for a team's success? Like, has the most to do with a team's success?
What do you mean? What?
Like, basketball coaches, no disrespect to them, but you're kind of a product of your players, don't you think?
Right.
Okay. So football, though, totally different. I mean, baseball managers, basically the front office setting the lineup anyway. Hockey, to me, is one of the most, craziest sports because you have number 1 seeds that can lose and it's a puck bounces and it seems like there's so much to chance. Football, you really need someone sharp.
Yeah, I still think I think a more dominant team was the 90s Cowboys in a way, too. because that's a team that lived up to the dynasty hype. Stars everywhere, intimidation. They happen to have the best coach as well. I think like that's a dynasty to me. The Patriots are more like they had the 3, and then it took a long time to win 3 more random ones. Not the same.
Let's go to the phones. 855-212-4CBS. Dave's in Arkansas. Hey, Dave. How you doing?
Yeah, hey, Maggie and Perloff. I just want to compliment you guys. I just got tuned on to you guys recently, and I've also kind of surfed all of the people, and that I have to think that you, Perloff and EJ are the absolute best sports debaters on radio, bar none. And also your journalism goes hand in hand with that. Well, the question I have is that what you're talking about now is that, Belichick, defensive, all the things you said, Maggie, and he had Brady. And then Reed, I've never held Reed in as high as esteem as Belichick. I feel that Reed, for example, is a product more of Mahomes, and I think that without Mahomes, Reed might have been a Buffalo back in the days when you guys had Kelly, that Reed may have never won a Super Bowl without Mahomes. So my question to you guys is, how do you compare Belichick to Reed if Belichick did not have Brady and if Reed did not have Mahomes? That's my question to you guys.
Wow, Dave, that's a doozy.
I agree,
thank you
Dave.
for the compliments.
I agree. Reed was not winning without Mahomes. He probably might not have even won a Super Bowl. He's a great offensive coach. He's not a great game manager.
Yep.
And he's had great defensive coordinators and not got over the top. But I got to lead. I'm not 100% sure that Harbaugh wins.
You mean Belichick?
I mean, that Belichick wins more than 1 without Tom Brady. Maybe he wins 1 or 2, but I can't see him doing the 6. So it's a valid criticism of both coaches.
Yeah, I think that early on, Belichick could have won. The defense was really good, and the defense was the reason that those early Patriots were winning. So if Drew Bledsoe is healthy and it's Drew Bledsoe instead of Tom Brady, or if it's someone else, they were defense first teams. I think he could have won one without Brady.
Yeah.
Brady wasn't Brady in 2001. That could have been Bledsoe back there.
Yeah, maybe.
I just think Belichick had a disdain for Bledsoe because Bledsoe and his agent and Robert Kraft, they all went behind Belichick's back, according to the book, went behind his back and signed him to that 10-year, $100 million contract, and Belichick didn't want to do that.
So Bledsoe won the AFC title game in 2001, right? And then Brady came back in controversially for the Super Bowl win. I'm not positive that Bledsoe wins that game. I mean, we can't be. And then there was some high scoring. The Panthers, it was 32-29. So the offense started to pick it up a little bit. Yeah, you have to admit, it does give you pause without Brady.
See, I think Belichick's such a good defensive coach, and I do believe in that cliche of the defense wins championships. I'm not sure right now in the year 2024 that's possible, but in 2001, 2002, 3, 4, I think you still could have won with
their defense wasn't that good. You're confusing them with the Ravens. They were good, but it was a complimentary. It was all 3 phases.
Okay, but don't forget, Belichick also won 2 Super Bowls with the New York Giants when they had an all-time dominant defense.
Yeah, I'm not counting that.
Okay, but again, he was the architect of that defense, and if he had, he proved how far you can go with a defense. That was Jeff Hostetler beat the Bills.
Yeah, I think you're underestimating the other 2 phases for the early run. And I'm with you. It was the defense, but it wasn't just a dominant defense that won that game. Obviously, Tom Brady had a big role.
Had a role in it.
Special teams was huge for early Belichick, which is so ironic that the worst part of the team right now in New England is special teams.
Oh, I love this. So you can watch the show. Of course, you can listen to us on all of our CBS Sports Radio affiliates, who we adore. Totally obsessed with you guys. You can also listen on the free Odyssey app. You can listen on Sirius XM channel 158. But if you want to watch the show, you got to do it on YouTube or Twitch. And Daily News is in our chat. He said, The Dynasty, Seinfeld, The Simpsons, South Park, Cheers, and Dynasty. I never watched the show Dynasty, so I don't know.
The question is, which is the biggest, or are those are the 4 dynasties?
I think these are 4 dynasties he's giving us here.
Yeah, I mean, Simpsons is still on the air, so longevity is Simpsons.
But are they still winning awards and stuff?
No, I don't. I'm the world's biggest Simpsons fan. I haven't watched in years.
Right.
Seinfeld had that brief run of dominance.
I mean, just the peak of Seinfeld, I think.
That's like the Steelers in the 70s.
I was going to say it's like a like Terrell Davis or something. Like it's like just the high, you know,
The short career, right?
Short
Hall of Fame
career, but
career in 6 years.
just so much peak.
That's the first Seinfeld Terrell Davis comp ever.
South
He probably was on
Park.
Seinfeld.
South Park's still on. Amazing.
Yeah. Cheers. How long was Cheers on?
Cheers
I
was
caught
a
the end of
goat.
Cheers.
It was so fun when they came out for the Emmys with Ted Danson. Cheers, I don't know. I'm not sure how long that was.
I think Martin needs to be on this list.
Martin was a great
Martin-
show. Like,
Martin
what
is-
about like
Well-
SNL or something that's just been
Yeah,
since
I was
the
thinking just
70s?
sitcoms, but yeah.
Oh, okay, well, I guess
But I think you could argue that Seinfeld had unprecedented ratings. I think that's why. And Cheers, like
And
NBC had
Friends,
this,
I guess.
and and Friends. But Seinfeld's ratings blew out Friends. I mean,
Yeah.
Seinfeld was number one at like football ratings at the time. But now there's no networks aren't the same, so I think it's harder. EJ, I have to admit, I did not see Martin coming on that list.
Martin's a great show.
Martin is absolutely on that list. That's maybe
Does it
a little
hold
bit.
up? I
Maybe
haven't watched an episode in a long time.
It is still holds up. It is so funny. I mean, maybe I don't know how. I don't watch not too much of it. I feel like is like like cancelable, quote unquote,
Yeah.
whatever. But no, it's still funny. And
But-
to me,
Well,
when you
that's
talk about.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. We talk about, maybe it's a two Americas thing, but is a certain part of this country, Martin is the GOAT.
The GOAT.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well,
For sure.
When Odell Beckham Jr. did the dog, like lift his leg, like peeing like a dog in the end zone, people got so mad at that, including a lot of people who happen to be working in and around this radio station at the time. I'm like, wait a minute, it's a Martin bit where he pretends to be the dog peeing.
Right, exactly.
The alter ego, when he's the alter ego, right?
Yes.
And he pretends to pee. And I feel like there were some people who got that, and there were a lot of people who
Who did
didn't
not,
get
yeah.
that.
Oh,
That felt like a Two Americas.
did Elijah Moore do it before Odell?
After.
Oh,
he,
he's
he
after.
did it in college, yeah.
One thing, the syndication for those other shows, though, is crazy. I don't know if Martin is
Martin is
syndicated.
still syndicated.
Is it syndicated like Simpsons and Seinfeld?
Yes. You turn on BET, it's on like every hour on the hour.
Is that on Netflix?
It's on one of these streaming services. I don't
Yeah.
know if it's Netflix.
I'm sure it's got to be
All in
on
the
one.
Family.
All in the Family. That does not hold up.
It doesn't hold up.
No,
but
All in the Family absolutely holds
Oh,
up.
it does? I thought it was not PC for the time it was in.
It was brilliant. I mean,
it was ahead of its time. Some things that they said on there probably don't fly today, but it was way ahead of its time and ran 8 years and it's
Yeah.
still going syndication.
if anything, it's too progressive for
Right.
now.
Okay, I never
Yeah.
watched All in the Family. What
Yeah.
the old sitcoms I used to watch, like with my grandparents,
Yeah.
would be 227, which was a great show.
Jack K.
Oh, my grandfather loved Jack Hay. And Golden Girls.
Yeah. I know you love Golden Girls.
I
A
love
lot of people
Golden
love Golden Girls.
Yeah, that
We also need to put respect on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air being on these lists because
love it.
you want to talk about syndication and living forever. I mean, that show, again, turn on TBS after 3 p.m. and that's all you'll watch pretty much.
is so funny still.
It's incredible.
I know. And Will Smith. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Maybe this is a summer topic for us.
I love it.
Dynasty TV shows instead of Dynasty sports teams. Again, 855-212-4227. Hall of Famers we're watching right now this weekend in the championship round. We'll get to that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. We're on an interesting side topic here. Someone in the chat brought up what shows are dynasties. We're talking about greatest sports dynasty today on great debate series. So it's kind of sad. The way TV is now, there's two reasons that you're never going to see ratings like you did in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
One, because the network structure has totally changed. But the second one is much sadder. I'm looking at the top 10 most viewed things since 2000. 8 of them are reality shows. Joe Millionaire is number 3.
What? I thought they're all NFL games.
These are, these don't include actually, they might include some NFL games, but the number one non-NFL game is the Friends finale at 50 million. Survivor Paliu is number 2. Then Joe Millionaire is number 3. What gets the big ratings? The Bachelor. It's not the sitcoms. The final episode of MASH, the record still holds 105 million people tuned in. It got a 62 Nielsen rating.
What year was that?
83.
Wow.
And then Seinfeld's finale got 72 million. Cheers, 80 million. It's just impossible because now, how many people even have NBC, ABC, CBS?
The last finale I think I watched and I remember feeling like I need to see this, was probably Letterman going off
Yeah.
the air.
How about Game of Thrones?
Thrones, that was a big one.
You
I
got
guess Succession.
Sopranos.
19 million.
Sopranos was a big one.
Oh, Sopranos was
But
a big
Letterman
one.
was more recent than that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and those are kind of crazy. Hey, one thing to keep in mind as we turn our attention to the championship games, are you guys seeing this story about the referee assignments? Now, I know this is kind of big for the betting community, but Sean Smith has been assigned to the Ravens-Chiefs game. According to Warren Sharp, home teams only 17-29-3 against the spread in the last 3 years. He's called 924 yards and penalties on home teams and 709 on road teams. Offensive holding penalties declined 65% in the divisional round of what those teams averaged during the regular season. So essentially, what Warren Sharp is kind of pointing out here is that Sean Smith has the lowest win rate for home teams of any referee in the NFL. And the Chiefs, Taylor Swift, conspiracy theories will continue.
I see what you're saying.
Yep.
This is why people don't like the Chiefs. They think everything swings their way.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I mean, they beat the Bills. And the Bills even got a couple calls that went their way, and I can't really claim there was any shenanigans going on there.
Wasn't there a big storyline about Sean Hockley was anti-Bills coming in? And
Yeah.
that didn't,
No, not anti-Bills, pro-Chiefs.
Yeah, it didn't really work out that well. No. I did think the Chiefs got away with a few late hits. I think they're not calling helmet hits anymore in the playoffs. They were letting a lot go. That's a big thing with the Chiefs. Their two tackles cheat on every play, right? They're still lining up off the line, and they hold all the time. So I think that's a really important point, because if you want to take the Chiefs out of it, you could throw 10 flags right off the bat.
And that's maybe something that, the Chiefs defense is going to have to be very aware of. We're talking about the Baseball Hall of Fame, and we've been having a lot of Hall of Fame discussion. What future Hall of Famers are we watching this Sunday? Now, there's some obvious ones. I mean, obviously Mahomes.
Yeah.
Andy Reid's going to go in. Probably talk about Lamar Jackson. I mean, a two-time MVP.
In.
He's definitely going in. But what about some of the other ones? EJ, throw out a couple. We'll tell you whether we think they are going to be Hall of Famers or not.
So this one was an interesting one for me, because this is a guy we heard a lot about this past weekend. A lot of people maybe learned about him. Frank Ragnow, the very tough center for the Lions, has been there for a long time, been a fabulous player. Do you guys think he's a Hall of Famer?
How many Pro Bowls? We got to look up some of the hardware. I would probably say of between offensive line positions, left tackle and then center, I think would be the second. I don't want to say easiest to make the Hall of Fame, but I think that's the second probably best shot you've got outside of being a left tackle.
3 Pro Bowls in 6 years.
If 2 weeks ago you had asked me this, I would have said no way. I was not aware that Frank Ragnow was the toughest human being in the entire NFL. I think that's TBD. I mean, 3 Pro Bowls to be a center, you got to get up to close to 10. So I think he's got a long way to go.
Who's next?
All right, let's go to the Kansas City Chiefs, a guy that we've also talked a lot about with his contract situation starting the year. Chris Jones, 2-time Super Bowl champ, 5-time Pro Bowler. Is he a Hall of Famer?
First ballot.
I think yes.
I mean, he's the one defense. He's a single-handed defensive unit. There are years where the Chiefs, it was Chris Jones and 10 scrubs. I don't even think that's close.
I think we're watching a Hall of Famer, no doubt. Who's next?
All right, this guy is coming back hopefully this week. What about Mark Andrews, tight end for the Ravens?
Not yet to me. I don't know. I mean, if we're talking about the tight ends that I feel like we're obviously watching, Kelsey is another walk-in Hall of Famer. That's obvious. I don't think that Mark Andrews is obvious at all. I think of our right now, Gronkowski, who just retired, Travis Kelce. I don't know what other tight end.
It's tough. I think Mark Andrews is a function of the fact that they never had decent wide receivers. So Lamar only trusted Mark Andrews. Long way to go for him. He could be, and if he gets a Super Bowl ring, this will help this year. My eye test was not yet.
3 Pro Bowls in 6 years for Mark Andrews, but you guys say no. Okay, last guy. What about Deebo Samuel, star wide receiver for the 49ers?
I think he's Hall of Fame track. I think if they win this year, that maybe goes a long way. But if he continues on this streak for another, 4 years, 3 or 4 years, I think he's definitely getting in.
Is he going to have the durability to do that? Because his style of play is so physical, that more physical than really any wide receiver we've ever seen. He will run into you and over you. that I don't know if he can keep this up for 4 years. So I would lean no.
Funny because you lean very strong yes, Maggie, but he has only one Pro Bowl and one 1,000-yard season in his entire career.
Yeah,
but
we think
of him as like this superstar.
Well, is that just receiving yards? Can I go to all-purpose yards? I'm not trying to make you the internet. I don't
know,
have it in front of
But
me.
I can't imagine it gets up that high anyway.
It would help him, but yeah, I can't imagine he would be. Yeah, he's dealt with injuries. He had 1 year he played only 7 games. 1 year he played 13.
Don't you feel like when you're watching him, though, you're watching a Hall of Famer?
I feel like I'm watching a stud every time he plays. I know.
I mean, let me ask you, is Anquan Bolden a Hall of Famer? I'm actually asking, I don't know what the odds, because they remind me just like great, really, really good players. But to get the Hall of Fame, especially a wide receiver these days, you got to put up massive numbers.
Andrew Bogish is here with headlines. Hey, Bogues, what's up?
Hey, guys. Good to see you one more time this morning. This is not surprising. Joe Barry not expected to return as Packers defensive coordinator. His job questioned for most of the season.
Whoa, who does that? Who does that?
Yeah, who does that? That's the audio we were talking about last week, presented to me this time as a middle school basketball game, and that's a dad yelling, "You suck," at a girl shooting a free throw in said game. Activity defended by Perloff and by EJ.
You set us
Does
up and
anyone
said it was a
want to
high
back
school
off
game.
that? No,
Okay.
Maggie
You said it was
did.
a high school game.
I'm sorry. I thought it was a high school game. It was a middle school AAU game.
Whoa, who said that?
To be honest, though, you guys were defending it when it's a high school game. So someone's 13 in middle school and they're 14 in high school. What's the difference? It's still teenagers.
Oh, no, if you're playing varsity, then you're
should
most
be
likely not a
16.
freshman. You're probably 16 or 17. And
Whoa, who said that?
no, we got set up Perloff.
We totally did.
It was
This
a
is
mistake.
ridiculous.
I thought it was high school. The girls just looked a little taller. I don't know. I thought it was high school. It was middle school. Apologies.
I have to be honest. I'm just stunned that an adult male could utter the words "you suck" at a middle school basketball game.
That is cruel. I feel like I've done a complete 180.
Now it's cruel.
No,
when it's middle school, not when it's high school. You guys are really splitting hairs.
It's
here.
not.
That is not splitting hairs at all. It's a massive difference.
It's a huge difference.
Okay, how about this poll question? Is it appropriate to yell "you suck" to a well? How are we going to frame this?
Yeah,
amateur. Exactly, because
You're about to say a girls' high school game is better
No,
than
I
a
was
boys'
saying
high school game?
versus middle school. I don't think it's good for boys either. You
No,
can say
it's
rebound,
not.
box out. You can say,
You're saying it's acceptable. I'm not. Neither Perloff or I would do it. I think we frown upon anybody doing it. What we're saying is it's high school sports. People suck. This is going to happen.
you kind of are condoning it though. Not if you even if you wouldn't say it, you're condoning it.
It's not condoning it. It's just life. It's just what's going to happen.
Right, so you're resigning yourself to the fact that it's happening.
You're not condemning it.
And you're not saying, "Hey guys, we can be better than this."
You're saying we're pearl clutching.
You kind of are. With this, you kind of are. If it was high school, again, middle school, that is totally out of bounds, ridiculous. Get the guy out of there. He's a loser.
Okay.
And he'd be a loser if he was in high school. But I'm just saying, to think that that's not going to happen in high school seems naive to me.
High school is big time. It's on ESPN. It's real sports.
You suck at Connor Flag. We're going to say, "Oh, this guy is that's so cruel. Get him." Come on.
I would still think a
Cooper
parent
Flag, I'm
would be
sorry.
a loser for doing that.
Yes.
Big loser.
Yeah.
Yes.
Big L.
Still a child.
So LeBron James at the free throw line at high school, someone yells, "You suck."
Yeah, somebody's dad shouldn't yell "you suck" at LeBron.
Come on, LeBron James.
Well, also it's another thing if it's I think the student section, if it's like a bunch of kids and they're yelling "you suck" at another kid, I don't love it, but I get it because everyone's immature. The parents are supposed to be we're supposed to be adults.
And again, if we're gonna really do comparisons here, there is a difference in yelling it when he yelled it so it bothered her at the free throw line. He's not yelling it in a jam-packed gym watching LeBron shoot free throws and he goes, "You suck," and only the guy next to him hears it. This dad was trying to mess up the girl at the free throw line.
Oh, I think you're underestimating what players can hear on a basketball court.
I think it's
the
better.
empty gym thing is a problem, and that definitely screwed this little girl up. Of course,
I think that little girl needs to hear that. It's about time she gets some adversity in her life. It's called grit, Bogus. You learn more through your failures.
You're right. Let's go to man camp.
LeBron James, How many times have we seen LeBron James go and point at guys
Why
in
is
the stands?
Why is LeBron the comparison? How did we get on LeBron?
This was the same as yelling at
He was
LeBron.
once a high school prodigy. And you're saying that if we yell at any high school player, it's like just the worst thing in the world.
No.
And how can we go on as a society when high school basketball players are going to be yelled at? I'm like, what are you talking
did
about?
I say that? You've gone from
kinda you did.
0 to 6. You be quiet. I know what you're doing. He's legitimately thinking this.
No,
Okay?
I agree with you. High school basketball can be a zoo. I mean,
know it
yelling,
can be
you
a
suck.
zoo.
You suck at a big time college, a high school basketball player. Who cares? That's nothing.
So I reserve the right to throw a chair at that parent if that's my kid.
Yeah, if your kid was Cooper Flagg, you wouldn't even be here. You'd be collecting NIL money. Like, there's big time high school basketball. You guys are only doing this because it's an empty middle school gym, which is
didn't
totally
do
different.
anything. We just said the guy sucked. That's it.
If it was a
I know it happens. This guy sucks.
If it was a high school game, it'd be so different. You at least will admit that.
Come on.
I can't imagine saying you suck to a child. Like
Yes.
they're still in high school, they're children.
But I don't disagree with that. Again, I would not do it. I think anybody who does that would suck.
Okay, that's the end of our thought.
Yeah.
That's all me and Maggie are saying.
But all I'm saying is that if it was high school, and I think about my high school life and other players' high school lives, I think to say that you suck on the free throw line was like the worst thing in the world that you've ever heard from a parent or student or anybody. That is just it's unbelievably not true.
Okay, but EJ, the thing you just said is not something that me and Maggie have said now or before. You took it to there, not us.
No, you guys are saying that if it's middle school, all of a sudden you're saying, oh, it's no different if it's middle school or high school.
I'm saying this guy sucks. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
This guy sucks.
And he's saying that she
Podcast is there.
sucks.
Yeah, that guy sucks.
I mean, also, too, I looked up the stats on that shooter. Pretty inconsistent from the free throw line.
Who was it yesterday? Leaky Black that didn't have an NBA free throw?
Yeah.
He needs help too. Our buddy Boomer Esiason keeps saying down the hall on New York radio that Lions OC Ben Johnson will be the Commander's next head coach, but
This is
Washington
Boomer Esiason.
still talking to other candidates like Texans OC Bobby Slowick last night. The Commander brain trust expected in Detroit soon to meet again with Johnson and Lions D coordinator Aaron Glenn, and now the
action expected here.
NFL gossip column. Multiple Miami outlets reported yesterday that Tyreek Hill filed for divorce, citing actual court documents. But then Tyreek got on social media and called the reports false. He also posted an Instagram story of him and said wife, Keita Vaccaro, in season Hard Knocks, showed them getting married during Miami's bye week. And now whatever is going on. This is a weird one. And a new, like, they're citing court filings, and he's going, it's not true.
Maybe it's a different Tyreek Hill.
A different Miss Vaccaro? Like, there's two.
It'd be an all-time mix-up.
Is there a chance
An
that
all-time
someone
coincidence.
Is there a chance that someone submitted a divorce filings as a prank?
I think you need an ID.
I think so too. And like I think
Also, if you don't, why would that seems not right.
Right.
Yes, you need an ID.
Yeah, thank you, Pete.
And definitely
Sorry,
a
I didn't
notary,
mean to
right?
I
didn't bring up old stuff.
No, but no, you do. I mean, you need to know who you are. They need to know who you are in there. So.
Oh, let's not get into that whole topic.
I'm about to say Florida's rules may be totally different from here.
Pete showed up with 4 forms of identification. I was like, I promise you, it's me.
There it is.
Get me
my
out of
social
this
security
there.
card, everything.
Would you like a blood sample?
My
I've got
library
one
card.
There, a utility bill.
That's right.
Fingerprint me, please.
What, DNA?
Swab, whatever you need to swab. Get me out of here.
How long will we get out of here?
Yeah, can I expedite this like a passport if I pay extra? How does that work?
Fly to the Dominican Republic and get divorced over the weekend.
Pass line over here.
Nikola Jokic had 31 points, 13 rebounds, and 10 assists in the Nuggets' 114-109 win in Indy last night. That leaves Washington as the only team Jokic has not had a triple-double against. Michael Malone will fix that.
That's a great trivia question. So Washington's the only one? All right. Well, next time we play Washington, I'm playing in 48 minutes, so he can cross that off the list.
This was also
Funny guy.
Pascal Siakam's home
Speaking of Queens.
debut. 16 points and 10 boards.
I feel bad for
Siakam.
everybody involved in the NBA trying to trudge through this regular season. Oh my, how bored is everybody?
Hey, imagine if Jokic cared.
Yeah, I'm just. I mean, just the lack of energy in Michael Malone's voice there sums up everything.
Everyone should have a second thing they do. You know, they were JJ Redick when he's called all those guys plumbers and firefighters. It's not because they needed extra income. It was just bored.
Yeah. I mean,
82 games in an 8-team schedule gets very boring.
Yeah, maybe the in-season tournament is better than I thought. Because you're right. At least that was something to talk about. Just the fact that he's like, maybe I'll get him a triple-double against Washington. Can I go home? What is going on here?
Also, some of the questions they get asked in like the press conference, I'm not trying to call out the media, but some of them just are like, talk about the
that's always the worst
rebounding.
one.
It's like, that's...
Yeah.
Not everyone went to broadcasting school, but that's a big no-no.
And meanwhile, you can actually see LeBron, the wheels turning, thinking about what wine he's going to drink when he gets home. Just get me out of this 800th press conference.
Actually, I heard once, not to change topics, but I know Pete's favorite musical artist is Billy Joel.
Yes, it is.
And Billy Joel once did an interview where he was talking about how he doesn't get any like joy from singing the old songs. I think it's changed a little bit. He said he'd be at the piano being like, "Don't go changing. Should I have a turkey sandwich for dinner?"
yeah,
Try
totally.
and please me. Maybe I'll have an iced tea with that.
Well, we enjoy it, Billy. So keep going, please.
So many artists don't like playing their best hits, and I guess I get it because it's
just look in your bank account.
Yeah, sure.
Keep going.
But look at the crowd when an artist says, "All right, I'm going to play some new stuff." All you hear is,
bathroom break.
I told you guys, my friend is a lawyer for one of these big places and books big bands. And it's in the contract. They have to play a certain amount of the set has to be the classic stuff.
I love that lawyer.
When I went to that Mariah Christmas show, you want to talk about someone who knows to play the hits?
Yeah.
She was playing all of them.
Well, I don't think you get any.
She was playing non-Christmas music.
I don't think you get any new hits from Mariah.
Well, I told you guys the story. I went to Hall & Oates. They had a concert, and it said Hall & Oates sing Christmas songs. So I took my wife. She likes Hall & Oates. And they did Christmas music for an hour. And then people started booing. And Daryl Hall was like, "All right, fine, we'll play the hits." And he begrudgingly did Private Eyes. And my wife was like, "Yeah, finally." He was like, "Oh, fine."
It's like, fine, you're a rich girl.
Yeah, exactly.
Never go away. He's like barely singing.
He was grudge singing at the crowd.
You're out of touch. I'm out of touch.
I'll see you guys tomorrow.
All right, Boogers, that was great. Thank you so much. Coming up, the one sound we need to play for you. Do not move, Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. We're talking about dynasties today. Greatest dynasty, sports dynasty of all time. Kind of bled into TV as well. Jamie is in Syracuse, has a thought on this. Good morning, Jamie.
Hi, Maggie Perloff. Maggie, I agree with you. Patriots, hands down.
Yeah.
But in tennis, Rafael Nadal at the French Open. Novak Djokovic is going for title number 11 at the Australian Open. And the best TV show of all time, watching it with my mom, Dallas. Ewing versus the Barnes. Who shot JR? Doesn't get no better than that.
Jamie, thanks for weighing in. Appreciate it. You know, Nadal just specifically at the French Open, he's right about that. If that's a dynasty, that's all-time dominance.
I think you could make a great argument. Those two tennis players you just mentioned weren't as good as Federer, who's also got a dynasty feel. And how can you say it's hard? The only problem I have with saying Dallas is
the TV show.
Is a dynasty. Did he say Dallas or Dynasty?
He said Dallas as the TV show.
Yeah, because there was actually a popular show called Dynasty. So isn't that going to win the Dynasty argument every time?
Probably. Also, what's a better dynasty, Dallas, the TV show, or Dallas Cowboys?
That's a great question. Dallas, the TV show. Remember Who Shot J? You don't remember, but you've read about Who Shot JR. To me, the Love Boat, that was a dynasty. That was a big show.
How long was that on?
Forever, right?
Oh, really? I don't know.
Love Boat?
I miss Love Boat.
15 years?
I got one. An actor or actress that had two dynasties from television.
Okay.
Try to name one.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus, I think, being Elaine and then also Veep. I mean, those are two all-time great shows.
Like Mary Tyler Moore, that crew. Mary Tyler Moore went from Dick Van Dyke Show to Mary Tyler Moore Show.
That's right. Ed O'Neill.
Oh, Married with Children, and then
but it's very few. It's you can probably count on both hands, maybe.
Guys who've reinvented it. Well, how about Woody Harrelson? I don't know if that's true. It feels like B. Arthur, who was Golden Girls, right?
Yep.
And she was from Maude.
That's a good one.
Mods is super
Listen,
famous.
you could do this with music too. About like I think of Dave Grohl. I mean,
2 classic albums or
2 bands.
2 bands.
To go from Nirvana to Foo Fighters.
That's like unheard of.
And to do
that's very hard.
Doing
to do.
2 different instruments too. Be the drummer for Nirvana, then be the frontman for Foo Fighters.
Sammy Hagar went from Sammy Hagar to Van Hagar. This guy, there's multiple guys. Yeah, well, I call it Van Hagar. But no, that's another great debate series. I mean, that's like players who've, like Kurt Warner, reinvented himself, went from the Rams to the Cardinals and got the Super Bowl.
Andrew Kaplan saying, what about Larry David? Writer
Big time.
and some time,
Big time.
but very few appearances on Seinfeld.
I don't think he counts.
Curb.
No, I think he's a ultimate redefined himself with a second act.
That was very Larry David.
He's got a new season coming out.
Yeah.
I mean, Curb is kind of like a graduation of and more adult Seinfeld.
I agree. I think it's just Seinfeld with
love
all George.
I think
Curb
I think
my
nobody
favorite.
would have predicted coming out of Seinfeld that the next great sitcom would come from Larry David and not Jerry Seinfeld. I think it's surprising.
Yeah. I think are there any others that we're missing? Daily News, by the way, says Pete's the oldest 37-year-old in the world.
I wish I was
37.
I was amazed too.
39.
I was asking him how he got so into 80s music. He said he came home after school and watched VH1
Yeah, no,
Wow, not even MTV.
That's what I said.
I didn't like what was on MTV. I was like, all right, let's try on VH1. They had pop-up video and they had a lot of other stuff. So I was like,
Pop-up
learn
video.
something.
Yeah.
Pop-up video.
Yeah. I miss pop-up video.
I mean, you have J-Lo going from a fly girl on In Living Color to becoming J-Lo. It's quite a second act.
I mean, Tisha Campbell went from Martin to My Wife and Kids.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good one.
I reject the J-Lo one because that being a dancer for a year on In Living Color was not a first act for J-Lo.
Listen, we're doing this off the top of the head. This is all a new type of combo.
More television than anything.
Yeah.
She was more movie.
That's true. She wasn't TV.
That's funny.
I'm
how
still
about
stuck on the music one? The music
how about
one is
Nick
tricky.
Cannon? Nick Cannon. What was his? I forget what his first act was, but his second act is the.
I mean, all that I guess would be his first act for TV.
Yeah.
He's been in movies, so Drumline and
There's
Kenan Thompson, all that SNL.
And then SNL.
Oh
it's a
yeah,
great
and
one.
I'd say Keenan and Kel. Shirt I was wearing last week, by the way.
I know your Halloween costume, all of it.
I love it.
They're doing a remake of that, right?
Good Burger, yeah, it's out. I gotta watch it. It's on Paramount apparently. Great plug for them.
There's no way that movie's gonna be good.
I mean, is the first
for
one
kids.
good?
It's
I
for
mean,
kids.
it's all nostalgia.
Yeah, that's true. All right, well now you've given us. Oh, Andrew Kaplan's got another good one. Beyonce, from Destiny's Child
big
to
time.
Beyonce.
Oh, see, I was getting rid of like the
spinoff.
Yeah, the solo
the
act.
solo acts, right?
Yeah, because I mean, Ice Cube, Dr. Dre. That's what I thought. Hip hop. There's a lot of those.
Yeah.
Hard to go from group to group. That's hard.
Yeah, it's like Stevie Nicks.
Jimmy
stuff like
Page went. Was it Ron Wood went from the Faces to Rolling Stones, but it's never the lead singer.
All right, this is more summer topics for us. This is great. Thank you guys so much. Thank you so much, DJ Stewart, to Pete Pilati, and Andrew Bogusch, Andrew Kaplan. We are getting closer and closer to the championship games. We got more for you tomorrow, more fun, craziness. Thank you to the Weedos, the coffee drinkers. See you.